Next on America's Day of the Races, the Sunday card features an early standout in the 3-year-old filly division from last year. Multiple graded stakes winner Kathleen O began her career a perfect 4 for 4. Today she'll look for her first win since last year's Kentucky Oaks prep season. Falconet is already a stakes winner on the New York circuit, and it came at today's distance. She'll get reacquainted with Kathleen O after finishing behind her last November. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, there's a lot to cover from an important Saturday on the Oaks and Derby Trail. Angel of Empire looked the part of a Derby contender. Does Arkansas Derby win? Where does he fit into the 3-year-old picture with his ticket to Louisville already booked? That and more coming up on this Sunday edition of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us on our FS2 coverage. Those watching regionally out in Valley Sports SoCal as well. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Sterling. How are you?
Nice to be here with you. It's light out. We left here. It was dark yesterday, but a lot of fun yesterday covering those races and enjoyed the races down at Oaklawn.
Yeah, we had a late night yesterday, a lot of coverage. Hope you enjoyed it watching from home as well. Today, a couple of features, very interesting races. We'll get to the Oaklawn race in a moment. We start with that Top Flight Invitational here at Aqueduct, and it seems like, well, definitely a couple that are some names in here, but certainly Kathleen O, who looked like she was a star for Shug McGaughey early on in her career. First defeat came in the Kentucky Oaks. Can she get back to the filly many thought she might turn out to be as a 3-year-old?
The handicap she has in here is not her talent. She's better than these horses on her good races. The question is her lack of speed. And Todd Pletcher has two rivals in Falconet and Let Her Inspire You, who can sort of control the race towards the front end, which could work against Kathleen O. I don't like that she ran second 2 times in a row, but, you know, she lost to a Todd Pletcher horse, Classy Edition, who has really come alive down in Florida. I believe she's a New York bred, actually. And Kathleen O hasn't looked bad in those races. 2 seconds, we'll see. I always wondered if she might be a better horse cutting back a little bit in distance, but who am I to argue with Shug McGaughey?
She's 4 to 5 in the morning line. Going to be a very, very short price.
She is. Her figures tower over. She's sort of got the look about her, a stake face look. But Mama's Got a Run's been improving for Linda Rice, and I think Todd's 2 horses are in position where they can kind of dominate the race up front, and they're pretty smart in that Pletcher barn. They're aware of that, and they'll use it to their advantage, as they should.
1 1/8 in that feature. Meanwhile, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, their main event, the Temperance Hill, at 1.5 miles, this marathon distance, and the return of the horse who dominated this division all of 2021, early in the spring of last year, and then started to tail off in the summer. We have not seen him since Saratoga last summer. First start back now as an 8-year-old. Let's bring in Paul LaDuca, Maggie Wolfendale for more. Can we see the old Lone Rock and what we expected from him back when he was at his best, you two?
I'm excited to see him at least back at the races, Paul. He is the marathon distance specialist. It's not easy, though, to come back off of a layoff dating back to July at Saratoga as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, you know, he's a horse that at one time in his career, I mean, he went on some kind of roll. And in 1.5 miles, he was the best 1.5 mile horse, I would say, maybe a year and a half ago, Max, somewhere in that aspect. And you wonder now as Father Time caught up with him. But then I go look back, and, you know, his last race off a long layoff, he went to Saratoga, and he won very, very easily with a 98 Beyer. Obviously, he's slowed down a little bit, but he does like this racetrack, and he's got $1.4 million in the bank. So he's got that experience, and he's got that class.
That's right, and 3 runnings of this Temperance Hill, today being the 3rd. He won last year. He's looking to go back-to-back in this $150,000 stake. But, Paul, have you recovered from yesterday's Arkansas Derby? But, I mean, this sunshine and these blue skies, you couldn't ask for a better day.
Yeah, listen, we're still praying for the people in Little Rock, but the weather has been cooperative the last couple of days. Beautiful day yesterday, unbelievable crowd. And it was Brad Cox Day, I guess. I mean, what do you want to say? I mean, he came in here with 4 horses, and all 3 of them won.
Yeah, an Angel of Empire really solidifying himself, guys, as a possible real contender heading into that first Saturday in May.
They look very good. Angel of Empire for Brad Cox, who, of course, is going to have the likely favorite in the Wood Memorial next Saturday here in New York. We'll talk more about his performance in that Arkansas Derby a little bit later on in the show as we take a look at what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Fast conditions both in South Ozone Park and Hot Springs. We'll have races 5 through 8 ahead in New York. And the late pick 5 from Oaklawn will sneak in race 4 there as well. They're about 13 minutes to post in that 4th. You can play it all by getting signed up started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com, and new members get this offer, that $200 deposit match. Sign up bonus with that code, bonus 200 again, there at NairaBets.com. Yeah, Angel of Empire was impressive. We'll hear thoughts on the 2-year-old champ, his final Derby prep. Forte got the win, had to work a little bit harder than some expected. In that Florida Derby performance, it is on to Louisville, likely as the favorite. We'll be back.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. His top sons at stud are making a name for themselves across the globe. With a picture-perfect pedigree, this son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the races we bring you. Naira Bets. Go to NairaBets.com. Get signed up started. Live coverage today from Oaklawn and from Aqueduct. Big day on the road to the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. The 2-year-old champ back in action. Forte in the Florida Derby. Left himself with a lot of work to do going into the stretch. Final 100 yards, he looked very, very good. What did he look like the rest of the race?
You know, it's hard to say. You don't want to knock a horse that's not undefeated, but he's won the 2 preps, coming obviously off his championship season last year. I thought the race was won when Irad Ortiz let Luis Saez make that big wide sort of premature move with the runner-up in here, and he tucked in when he went wide, then he angled out just there coming the stretch, and I feel like that was the winning move by Irad, and that's why he's Irad Ortiz, and he's winning all these Eclipse Awards. What I didn't like is that he had to ride him the whole way. This has been a horse that's always just sort of found his stride, and he's been a very easy horse, even since day one when he broke his maiden at Belmont. He's been very professional, and I don't like that Irad was riding him the whole way. It's just not really like him. And another problem has resurfaced since then, in that Craig Mulkowski and Randy Moss both have retimed the race and are convinced, and these are 2 guys the industry looks to get accurate timings when there are timing problems, saying the race is about 0.9 seconds slower than it was. The Beyer, which was 98, probably going to end up about a 95. And it does make me wonder a little bit if maybe he didn't coming in the Derby off his best race. Now, maybe Todd Pletcher is going to say, I don't want to run my best race in the Florida Derby. I want to run my best race in the Kentucky Derby. But for me, I don't like that he took a little bit of a step back. And a horse that I've always been a fan of and still remain a fan of, I don't love that race going to the Derby. But obviously, he's still a major contender.
And you see Pletcher so many times. He's had multiple horses in the Derby. This year, again, he's going to have 3. Forte was throwing his head around a little bit in the starting gate. So a little unsettled, had a bit of a wide trip, still overcame it, still won. And Todd Pletcher said he probably wound up running about a mile and 3/16 in that race yesterday.
Well, he didn't have as bad a trip as the second-place finisher, who was wider than he was. I don't know if there's any track data. There is none anymore, but he was wider on the first turn, and he was making a wider move on the second turn. So the second-place finisher, who can't get out of the gate, but he's only run 3 times. I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Curlin as a horse, but I remember Curlin going to the Derby off of just 3 races. He's a very, very promising horse, the second-place finisher in there, which is a compliment to Forte that he was still able to beat that horse. But if they think Forte had a bad trip, then they're supposed to love the second horse because he had a worse trip.
4th at Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint coming up. It's a $30,000 claiming race. Horses who have not won 3 lifetime in their career. And we're approaching the 7-minute mark to post here. 9-5 current favorite.
I smoked
Burning Hunk of Love.
I
Carl
smoked
Bobert.
out Chris Hartman on the rail off the claim. I've noticed that he's pretty good.
Decent meet, winning it better than 30%.
Yeah, good claiming trainer. I prefer him to Burning Hunk of Love. But we actually have our own Burning Hunk of Love on the show, right?
We're going to get to Paulie in a moment.
Thank God.
2-1 favorite is now Upstriker, actually. Yeah, Chris Hartman, Mitch Murrell from the inside, and has at least tactical speed to use from that inside post.
I think it's nice that Mitch Murrell, who's one of Maggie's favorite riders, shows up when Maggie's there at Oaklawn. I think that's nice, and I'm assuming he came here from Fairgrounds with the Fairgrounds meet closing last week. There does appear to be some speed, but if Upstriker breaks, I think he's the speed of the speed, and I would take him to lead the field on the merriest of chases.
Yeah, well, big long shot scratching that was Atris probably would have been forward,
Yep.
but it looks like maybe Rum and Tonic, the other primary pace in
Maybe
here.
Grapnell, perhaps, the 3. Could that horse show some speed in here? He's been in some pretty fast-paced races off the claim for Steve Asmussen. But that's Steve Asmussen. He just keeps claiming away.
He really does.
Loves
doesn't he?
the action.
He's going to have his son again riding for him here. Here is the favorite, Upstriker. Chris Hartman off the claim.
Breaks key for all of them. It's always particularly key if you have speed and you break from the inside.
Rum and Tonic comes off a win for non-winners of 2 at Oaklawn.
But neither one of us big fans of horses claimed away from Robertino Diodoro as he moves up significantly off that race.
Here is Grapnell, 4-1 Keith Asmussen riding for Dad.
Another horse who could be forwardly placed in this race and far from impossible.
Ace High Royal, Rider Chains, Marcelina Pedrosa.
Yeah, off the claim for Aaron Shorter. We'll see. I thought the last race, a win, was not good enough to win here, conditional claiming race.
Yacht Rock, we've seen a lot on this show, this meet.
Yes.
Isaac Castillo.
Jonathan could explain what Yacht Rock is again. That's something else going. He's claimed out of a bottom-level race.
Easy listening.
Yes.
Burning Hunk of Love, Carl Broberg.
Nothing's easy for me if I'm on a boat. He's taking a lot of money right now, second off the claim for Broberg as he does drop down significantly.
And Cipriano Contreras just claimed this horse title shot.
Yeah, he just has no speed at all, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be a super fast pace. And in general, I'd rather be more forward, especially at Oaklawn.
3 minutes to post here in this 4th coming up. The 1, the 7 taking the majority of the money in this spot. And Upstriker, with a sharp break, as good as this barn is, extremely good first off the claim, too. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's the speed, and I wouldn't try to beat him. I'd use 1 and 3. They'd be my 2.
All right, let's go trackside, check in with Maggie and Paul.
And guys, we'll take a look at Upstriker here on the rail. As Andy said, Mitch Murrell is one of my favorite riders, as you well know from Churchill. Paulie, bet Mitch, get rich.
Yeah, whenever you get in the winner's circle, that's his trademark. Bet Mitch, get rich. And this is a horse, like Andy said, I think has to push from the rail in here with Burning Hunk of Love, because there is some pace in here. If you look back at that race, 2 back, Upstriker and Burning Hunk of Love, they went at it early, and then, Broberg claimed that horse, raised Burning Hunk of Love, now back in against the 1. So what's going to give here? I know Hartman off the claim is dangerous, but Cody Rosen's a pretty good trainer.
Well, and 2, the one thing I noticed a little bit different off this Hartman claim is that they put a really full cup blinker on Upstriker. And usually when connections do that, they are trying to be the ones out of the gate first and taking them all the way, because he's fast enough, and he probably is the fastest horse in here, but it just feels like in his races he's kind of always surrounded. I think they just want to clear with him today, as we'll check in with Burning Hunk of Love, who you mentioned Carl Broberg coming in off of an effort, first off the claim against Tuffer, back in, I think, with his friends today with Christian Torres aboard.
Yeah, this is a horse got beat by Charter Oak. We're going to see Charter Oak in a couple of races. I think that has a decent chance. So been running against some decent horses. Breslow wasn't that good yesterday, but now this is a drop down to back to where he was in right where Upstriker was. They were a neck apart in that race. But what's going to give if there is pace in here? Because the one's going to have to push. And what happens with Christian Torres? Christian Torres is a very cerebral rider, so he probably won't want to get in a duel with the one.
And Paulie, I got to say, from a physical standpoint, I did not like what I'm seeing from Vernon Hunk of Love. I've seen him in the past. It's been a while, but he definitely looked better then than he does now, and just lacks a lot of energy. Christian took him away from the pony, and he's just very quiet out there. And he'll have to beat me today. I just was very much underwhelmed. His number 8 title shot, one you're interested in here. First off the claim for Cipriano Contreras.
Yeah, this is a horse, if you look, ever since Cipriano Contreras claimed this horse, he claimed this horse for $10,000, lost this horse for $10,000. He dipped back in and got this horse for $20,000. But look at the races when Cipriano did not have the horse. The horse kept on breaking dead last and just getting too far behind the field. And now Sippy claims this horse back, I think, with a little bit better break. This is a horse that's going to be rolling home late.
He's made a good impression. I did notice he was kind of, after breaking slowly, as he had been, you said, he was getting out a little bit. I didn't see any corrective equipment on him, but otherwise, I think back into this barn, maybe he could be effective as one that is also first off the claim number 3, Grapnel for Steve Asmussen. Now, I thought kind of had that wide taxing trip last time out, may have been facing lesser altogether, but he and Upstriker and the 8, he was just another one who made a really good impression on me.
I mean, if you look on the form, he's the most consistent horse. I don't care where you go levels. I get it when horses drop levels, but 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, been in a lot of different barns, so he's an honest horse.
Yeah, you can count on him to show up, much like Keith Asmussen does for his dad, Greg.
Thanks, you two. We'll see how this one plays out. Upstriker back, down to 3-2 favoritism right now.
Are we worried that Maggie's not coming back and she's going to spend the rest of the meet down at Oaklawn? She and Paul are great together. I mean,
especially when you go down there for Arkansas Derby weekend, you probably don't want to come back.
Well, when it's 80 degrees also. Though it's a little chilly here, but it's pretty nice. Yeah, Maggie's happy to be outside somewhere warm. She's had quite a winter.
All right, we'll get to this race here coming up. And, of course, we have the 5th at Aqueduct. We're about 10 minutes away. New York bred, 1-turn mile in that race we're going to see next in New York with a 4-5 favorite, Buston Bay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's the 2 and 6 are really the only horse on paper in the upcoming 5th race with any real chance.
Here he is. We've been waiting for this moment.
There he is.
Jonathan Kinchin. First time today. How are you, JK?
Hi, guys. I'm doing well. You know, the weather's nice here in Texas. And
should he have a cowboy hat on?
Saratoga soon.
You know, you should wear a cowboy hat in Texas, and I don't know what you wear in Saratoga, but you should have a cowboy so people know where you are.
Andy, you're an intelligent man, and you know that a hat is not going to fit on this hair. It just doesn't work. It's not an easy
It works better for me. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. You said that.
I know what you meant.
But
Look,
you're not wrong.
I never am.
Guys, I think the one Upstriker could be tough in here, and obviously the tote board sees that as well. You're switching to a high percentage trainer for a horse who looks the best on paper, drawn inside, which I think hasn't been a bad place to be in the last couple of days at Oaklawn. And so I just feel like Upstriker is likely the one to beat in here, and I have no interest in the 7. If you're looking for something a little bit more creative, I think the 2 is interesting. Trust me, I have no interest in betting horses off of Robertino Diodoro, but Andy mentioned this last week, and I'll echo that sentiment. When a horse comes back quickly off a high percentage trainer, they're basically still running on that training. My biggest concern is that Diodoro ran the horse for 10, got the horse claimed away from him. Now the horse is in for 30. It just seems like deeper waters, but I do believe the 2 Rum and Tonic will outrun the odds at 13-1. I also want to say I have no interest in drinking a Rum and Tonic.
Doesn't sound like a good drink,
here.
does it? Doesn't sound like a good drink, does it?
Yeah, I'll pass.
I used to drink rum and OJ way back when I was young, when I had hair.
When you're OTBs firing away at the pick 6?
You know, the truth is that simulcasting started at Saratoga Harness in '84. So actually, we used to go there instead. Before that, there was no OTBs in Saratoga, as you probably know, and we'd had to go to either there was a great OTB on the golf course in Mechanicville. I think it's gone now. In the clubhouse, the old clubhouse. I used to go to my dad a lot, and then you could go up to Glens Falls as well. But no, because we had bookie joints in Saratoga. We didn't need OTB. Saratoga's a wide open town. It's a lot of fun growing up in Saratoga.
7-5 favorite up striker here. JK making a bit of a case for the 2 Roman-Tonic, 14-1. And yeah, this horse coming back quick indeed. 7 days back. So no question, running off that training of Diodoro, claimed off of him. But it is a big jump. Jim Byers, the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn.
Loading. They're in the gate. And they're off. And from the inside, the gray Roman-Tonic is establishing the early lead, and Ace High Royal got out in second. Up Striker on the inside third, and Grapnel is racing a very visible 4th, followed by Yacht Rock in between horses, and up on the outside, Burnin' Hunk of Love is outside of Yacht Rock. That pair is trying to edge toward 3rd and 4th at this juncture, as there's a big second flight behind those dueling leaders. Trailing the field is Title Shot, and the 7 of them circle the turn. Roman-Tonic has been there from the beginning for Walter de la Cruz, then Ace High Royal, Burnin' Hunk of Love on the outside, and Yacht Rock is stubbornly moving with him. And then back toward the inside, Up Striker is looking for a clear way through. Grapnel's in behind a wall. Title Shot on the outside. They're in the stretch. Ace High Royal with the lead. Up Striker finds room on the inside. Burnin' Hunk of Love has to go. And then comes Roman-Tonic as they run through the stretch. Up Striker goes to the lead for Mitchell Murrow late. Got a rail skimming ride, and he's going to win it. Ace High Royal is second. Burnin' Hunk of Love heads up and down for the show with Roman-Tonic.
Well, for a while, Up Striker a little bit further back than he usually is. Looked like he might be in trouble. But, yeah, Mitch Murrow hugs that fence and gets the victory here. 3rd win of his career.
Yeah, and we always talk about the breaks, especially with these horses inside. Something that Jonathan talks about quite a bit as well. And he didn't break that sharply, and the 2 outbroke him. And De La Cruz hustled the lead. But Mitch Morrell never panicked. He sat down on the inside, and he probably figured, I'm riding the best horse here. I'll hope the inside opens up and I can get through. And it did. And he did.
20-1 shot there in second as well. We go to New York, post parade for the 5th. New York Breds, allowance optional claiming 1 turn mile, and that's Curly Girl 8-1.
Yeah, I guess she's in the hunt sort of as the 3rd best horse in this race. She is second off a little bit of a freshening.
Mia Be a Star comes out of Biagio's Rose, was 4th of 5.
She's hampered by the lack of pace, which helps the favorite, but she may overall be a better horse, though only 4 for 43 lifetime.
Karamoko went by, and here's Freddie Mo Factor.
Freddie Mo Factor had that win for Linda Rice, but against much weaker 2 back.
Amity Island, 13-1.
She got a better fee against better horses last time, but maybe a sign of life.
Charlie Baker, second off the claim. Buston Bay, 4-5 favorite.
She's in very good form. She faced tougher horses last time, and from a pace standpoint, she has a giant advantage over the field.
Jason Hues, 5-pound apprentice, will be in the irons for the Baker barn. Second off the claim. Let's welcome in for the first time today, the MIG, Richard Migliori.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Beautiful day down here by the winner's circle. And let's talk about 2 horses from a physical perspective. The one, Curly Girl, yeah, she's so dappled out, and she's making her 2nd start of the winter. She ran once in December, once in March. And I like horses that are a little bit fresh this time of year, and she could not be more dappled out. Paul Barrow just has her looking as good as a horse can look. Now, I know he does a lot of good work up at Finger Lakes and maybe, getting runs into his horses before the Finger Lakes meet starts, but I can't discount her as good as she looks in the coat. I mean, just as rich and hydrated a coat as you're going to see. The 5, Amity Island's another one. Stand out from a physical perspective. You get Romero Mirage, who's been riding extremely well, been hitting the board and winning with horses at big prices. And sometimes when you get a rider that just goes out there with that kind of enthusiasm and they consistently give their horses their best opportunity, horses tend to outrun their odds. I have a hard time seeing past the 6 Buston Bay. Like Andy talked about, she just has a huge pace advantage. She looks like she has more natural speed than anybody else. She should be able to gallop to the lead here. And everybody else is going to have to take a step forward to take her on, and potentially she might have to take a step backwards. So at a short price, I do think Buston Bay is formidable.
And the public would agree, Mig. Thank you. 3-5 now on Buston Bay. Let's go back to February 19th and that victory at Aqueduct going 7/8.
Yeah, she had the run of the race this day at 3-5, and she beat up on inferior horses. But she ran a solid figure, claimed out of that race from Antonia Arriaga, and she faced tougher horses last time in Tough Street and Stone Creator for Charlie Baker. So really nothing was wrong with her performance. It was just the horses she was facing were better. Now she appears to be the controlling speed in this race. Only Karamoke has any speed unless she's aggressively sent. It feels like Buston Bay is going to dominate the race. But sometimes it just looks so obvious. And Mia Be a Star has been very good this year. So I'm going to take a shot with the hot riding Jaime Torres that she can upset her, even though she is only 4 for 43 lifetime and not a winning type. But at a much better price, I'd rather gamble on Mia Be a Star at 2-1 than 3-5 in Buston Bay.
Outside of those two,
It's impossible to make a real case for anybody, isn't it?
Curly Girl, a little interesting, I thought, at the last race. But it's just off the last race.
Yeah, but she lost by, 6.5 to the favorite. And, she did hit the gate very hard last time. I will give her that. But I didn't think she did any running after that. But at least she showed life last time. I mean, not a bad thing.
Minute to post coming up in a race that kicks off this pick 4. Let's go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, guys, look, this is kind of a home field advantage type of situation for me, the way I'm looking at this race. The 6, to me, has that kind of home field feel. Drawn outside is a lot more comfortable than being drawn on the inside of your main competition, which, in my opinion, would be the 2, Mia Be a Star. So, think about it. You watch one of those Monday Night Football games, right, where the home team is -3, but if they were on the road, the line might even flip. And I think that's what we're seeing here. I think if the 2 was drawn towards the outside, there's a chance the price differential would be a little bit closer. But the 6 just has a lot more options from out there. It's just more comfortable. Kind of like, you get to sleep in your own bed, wake up, drive to the stadium and play rather than having to fly overnight, be in a hotel, all of that stuff. Look, I think they're very close in terms of who has the most ability and who has, given the circumstances kind of working out in this race, who has the best chance to win. But, like I said, I'm going to go with the 6, Buston Bay, who's got that comfy home field advantage on the outside.
Short price. Jonathan, thank you. 3-5. Buston Bay looking for the 8th win of her career.
I mean, she has such a pace advantage on these horses that it almost seems too easy. Is she a better horse than Mia Be a Star? I don't know. Mia Be a Star's been facing some much better horses in her races. Last race she was in was won by a horse who's in the stake, albeit as a price, but Movie Moxie's been in good form. Know It All Audrey. So she's kept better company overall, I think.
She ran good against Tough Street as well.
Right, and she's a horse that can make that run with a lack of pace in there. So I don't have any problem with the favorite. I totally understand why Buston Bay is the favorite. If they were both the same price, I would take Buston Bay as well. But I'm not sure the 3-5 isn't a little bit, it's too big a difference. Effectively, these horses, she's a third the price of Mia Be a Star. And I'm not sure that that's really warranted.
It felt, this card, as you kind of go all the way through, it felt formful.
I agree. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to make a substantial case outside of these two. I mean, the next race, there isn't a whole lot of form to go on. I picked the 3 going in style. I'm not trying to beat Kathleen O. And, I mean, I could see Let Her Inspire You or Falconet winning. Even Mama's Got to Run, who I picked second. But I'm not trying to beat the favorite in the last race. I was 1s, 8s with a little 5, and they look like the chalks. I agree. If there's somebody out there that wins at a price, I'm not going to have them. Listen, and if you do, you'll get paid. But I just didn't really see it today.
Maybe that 8th is the one where there's a little opening.
Yeah, maybe, because they are both drop downs, the 1 and 8, and a little bit dubious dropping down. So that's possible, I suppose.
But again,
the options,
you never know. It's horse racing. We'll see what happens.
No, of course not. I mean, listen, there's, the worst thing is somebody says right away, they say, I'm not going to bet this pick 5. The card looks chalky. Sometimes it's you that's not looking hard enough to see if there are other things there. Now, I'd like to think I've looked hard enough and I didn't find anybody else, but that doesn't mean that somebody else won't have different opinions, and it doesn't mean they won't be right.
Loading up. Here we go. Pick 4 begins in this 5th from Aqueduct. 1 turn mile for these New York breds. There's Mia Be a Star. 2-1 second choice. Jaime Torres, an apprentice, making a strong impression here in New York. But the 3-5 favorite has been odds on throughout. Buston Bay, Charlie Baker, highly respected trainer on this circuit. Second off the claim with a fellow apprentice, Jason Hues. The one to beat, Chris Griffin with the call.
Freddie Mo Factor goes in, 2 out. Amity Island. Buston Bay goes in. All set. And they're off. Good break for Freddie Mo Factor from In Between Horses. Has early speed. There's Karamoka is in the early mix. And at the rail is Curly Girl. 3 across the racetrack now, 2 as they get set to come out of the chute. But it's Freddie Mo Factor in front. Freddie Mo Factor, and to the inside still is Curly Girl. Curly Girl is going to apply some pressure to the outside with Buston Bay. It's out wider as they're with Amity Island. They're 3rd and 4th. Losing a little touch with the field there was Karamoka. Just got shuffled back. Was with the early leaders, but is now back to 5th. And at the back, Mia, Be a Star. 24 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. And Curly Girl and Freddie Mo Factor, they're still 1-2. Buston Bay, the favorite at 3-5. Perfect stalking position from 3rd. Losing ground was Amity Island. There's Karamoka's back there at the tail end of the field with Mia, Be a Star. Is the Gray is 4.5 off the lead. They went 48-1 for that half-mile time, and they turn up the pressure now. Freddie Mo Factor is back in front. Curly Girl is back to 2nd, and an oncoming Buston Bay is moving in closer, and Buston Bay is coming after the big long shot, Freddie Mo Factor, who's got the lead. Curly Girl back to 3rd, also trying to launch a rally. Here comes Amity Island in the green cap, has got 3 to make up from the back. Mia, Be a Star, and Karamoka at the back of the field. They reach a quarter mile left to go. Freddie Mo Factor is still in front. Buston Bay is trying to push on by. Here is Buston Bay to Freddie Mo Factor, and now Buston Bay crosses. Freddie Mo Factor is 2nd. On the far outside is Amity Island, who's in pursuit, and Mia, Be a Star. Buston Bay is opening up here through the stretch. Getting closer is Amity Island, and Mia, Be a Star is absolutely flying at the rail. It's Buston Bay who's trying to hold on. Buston Bay will hold on. Mia, Be a Star was flying to the inside, grabs 2nd over Amity Island and Freddie Mo Factor in 1 minute 39.63 seconds.
Where's that wire? Buston Bay crosses the wire first. It was getting tight. And as you said to me, yeah, we may see something here in the stretch.
Well, she did come over an early stretch on Freddie Mo Factor. Now, Freddie Mo Factor may have been tiring, and I don't think it would be doing any justice to anybody if they took her down as a result of that. But I'll tell you what, that wire came just in time for her. She did not win like a 3-5 shot should. They were very confident. They rated off the slow pace, and there she is cutting off Freddie Mo Factor. She definitely came over on that one. Whether or not it's I wouldn't take her down because I don't believe in affecting the order of finish in any way, and I think that would be a crime to the bettors to take her down. But she did ostensibly foul that one.
6-2-5-4 unofficially. Let's see if we can get that head on too and just see how dramatic it was.
I think that's one where the stewards end up speaking to the apprentice maybe about, more about situation. But Freddie Mo Factor was going to be 4th.
Right, here it is.
Yeah, I almost wonder if there's something going on with Freddie Mo Factor too. Was she getting out a little bit? Nah, she cut over. Not something they should take her down for. They're probably looking at it, even if there's nobody claims, they won't put up an inquiry, and my guess is they'll speak to the rider, Jason Hues, an apprentice that I think is very good.
Let's look at it one more time here. Right there.
Let me ask you a question. Was the rider looking at something even before she cut over on her? I can't tell. I don't know.
It just seemed like there was no horse there.
Yeah, no. This had, even if you feel this horse committed a foul, it had absolutely no effect whatsoever on the order of finish. It didn't affect anybody else in the race, and Freddie Mo Factor finished 4th, which is exactly where she was going to finish. So taking her down would be a travesty, frankly, and I don't think that's a possibility. But I do think she came over.
For now, 3-5 favorite on top. 6-2-5-4 unofficially. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Angel of Empire looked tremendous. Big move forward in that Arkansas Derby win. It is on to Kentucky. We'll take a look back. What he accomplished.
Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Class and athleticism.
What we're seeing from Audible across the board are very athletic shapes.
They've been good sized, great walkers.
Strong, muscular bodies, looked like they would have speed and quickness and precocity.
They look like they'd be early enough, but they have the feel to me of a two-turn horse.
Which is really what you want to see from a freshman stallion.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play this weekend. Races and free PPs posted at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in Southern California. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We have a trainer's objection here in this race in New York involving your winner.
Okay, he's entitled. Everyone's entitled. This horse came over. I get it. He's trying to protect the interests of his horse and himself. He's the owner of this horse. He has every right to do it. And this horse came over. There's no denying it. But it didn't affect anything whatsoever. And I think it's very important to keep the bettors in mind as well. If you want to find the jockey, I got no problem with that. That's up to the stewards. That's their call. But to reverse this order of finish because of what happened in there would be a crime for anybody that bet this race and cashed at a winner. And I say that liking the two. But I think you agree. I mean,
and I wonder if we can get Mig in on this potentially and see, like,
yeah,
there's something that Jason Weyes could have done differently, Mig, here? Was this just a horse that wanted to duck in on him here?
No, I think what happened was the 4, Freddie Mo Factor, came out into him first, and then he allowed his filly to drift back over, almost putting her back in her place. But I do feel like Freddie Mo Factor started it by trying to float her out, and then maybe he overdid it a little bit coming back in. I agree with Andy. This didn't affect the outcome in any way, so I don't believe there should be any sort of a change. If they want to talk to the rider and say, hey, you got to be more careful in that position like that because you're passing a tiring horse. But I do think there was some culpability on the 4 as well.
Yeah, you look at it again, Mig Danks, almost like she bumped her hip.
Yeah, well, that's what I was
into
wondering. We were talking about, and I'm glad Richie said that. And good call going to him. We should have gone to him earlier, actually, about that to get his opinion. But, yeah, and, look, the stewards made the right call. Stewards get a lot of grief, and they deserve it sometimes. I don't always agree with the stewards' calls here. I agree with most of their calls. And listen, I'm a gambler, and everybody's been frustrated by stewards' decisions at one time or another in their lives. But all you do is read on Twitter, this is the worst call I've ever seen. It's not. There was a horse taken down that won by 5 lengths at 7-1 at Saratoga, and they took down the wrong horse. That was the worst call of all time. Everybody else is vying for second.
Put it all in perspective. $3.20 for the win. The victory will stand for Buston Bay. But you're the trainer of Freddie Mo Factor there, Eduardo Jones. You got to take a shot, right?
Yeah, I don't blame him for claiming. He has every right to claim. And I also think it's important for them to look because a lot of people will bet that race. You bet that a lot of people probably bet the 2 and say, why aren't they looking at this? The horse came over in the stretch. Yeah. So I never have a problem with the stewards taking a look at it. I think it's the best thing for the public in general for them to know the stewards are looking. And they are looking. Sometimes they don't put up an inquiry and they're still looking. That I don't agree with. I believe they should always put it up because the public should know that these races are being policed. They are being policed. Sometimes they're not telling us, though, and I wish they would at all times.
So results stand 6-2, 5-4, 3-5 favorite Buston Bay with the victory. Let's look back to Saturday on the road to the Kentucky Derby out in Hot Springs in Brad Cox.
He doesn't disappoint.
Angel of Empire looked very, very good in this victory.
And this is a horse that's kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, he ran at Indiana. He had a very nice win in the Risen Star. I didn't like it. I thought he took advantage of a collapsing pace, whether he did or didn't. It certainly didn't matter on Saturday because he made the kind of move in this race. And you see him there. He's already put himself in better position in this race than he did in Louisiana, right? He's already sort of mid-pack. And you pointed out to me, you said, here comes Angel of Empire when he made the move around the 7/16 pole. And I said to you, yeah, that's the old premature move. That never works. And he just ran by the field and kept on running.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else ran very well in here, and I don't think that Rocket Can flattered the group down in Florida. But this guy ran, and he got a 94 buyer. He's improving with every start. It's a very similar figure to what the Florida Derby got, and he puts himself squarely in the conversation for the Derby.
Yes, he does. With this performance, big move forward for him. Back-to-back graded stakes victories. On to Kentucky. Back-to-back years, Brad Cox has won this race. He won it last year with Cyberknife.
And he's got another bullet in his gun next week coming here with Hit Show running in the Wood Memorial. He's not done yet. He got a great race yesterday.
Slip Mahoney.
And Slip Mahoney as well. But Hit Show, I was very impressed with his withers. And you couple this with Wet Paint's win. Quite a day for Brad yesterday. And he's heading into Kentucky for what could be an incredibly disappointing weekend for him.
He won with all 3 stakes races he was entered in yesterday on Arkansas Derby Day. Incredible. Of course, this horse owned by Albaugh Family Stable. Jason Louch, part of that, who was on hand and was enjoying every minute of this performance.
Sitting perfect. Here he comes. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Follow the 7 now. Follow the 7 right behind him. Here he goes. Let's go. Let's find out what we got. Let's find out what we got, Angel. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Here he goes. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Come on, baby. Come on, Angel. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. Come on, John. Come on, John. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, baby. Come on. Do it. Yes. Do it, John. Come on, John. Let's go. Come on. Finish. Come on. Finish. 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 We did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, my God. Yes. We did it. We did it. Let's go. Yes. Oh.
So that's what it feels like to have a Kentucky Derby contender winning a major prep and on to Louisville. What a moment. And great to have them mic up to capture that. Huge step forward for this horse as you take a look at Brad Cox's Derby hopefuls. Again, as you mentioned, we're going to see Hit Show. We're going to see Slip Mahoney. But that was a big performance, Paul, Maggie, from Angel of Empire. And that sweeping move around the turn, as Andy said, just kept on going.
I, first of all, loved that mic'd up segment.
Awesome,
Paul, well done by Mel, our producer Terrence, for having the idea, Jason, the owner, for agreeing to it, because it really brought you in. I mean, I got chills just watching it again.
No, I almost started crying again because I was able to interview Jason after the race, and this was like 2 minutes after you're seeing that. He was still in tears, and he almost had me in tears. He was just blown away, and the progress, like Andy mentioned, the progress this horse has made. Jason was blown away. Brad's done an unbelievable job with him.
And he really just moves forward each and every time. You and I were talking about it, of where he started at Indiana and Kentucky Downs, and then suddenly as a 3-year-old, he's just put it all together. And kind of looking at him as a physical, Paul, he's just a big, gangly type that I'm sure was a bit backwards and weak as a 2-year-old, and now he's putting it all together, and he really screams, I want classic distance all day.
Yeah, and then the thing that you love the most about it, you see the ears go up, and Brad's always said that this was his Belmont horse, so the distance is not going to be an issue. We'll just see how good he is. I still want to give a shout out to King Russell, because Andy mentioned this on the air yesterday. He said, hey, listen, Ron Moquett lives on the backside. You might as well put this horse in. You always got a shot. Rafael Bejarano gave the best fist pump I've ever seen for a second-place finish in my life at 50-something to 1. King Russell's going to be in the Derby. It's unbelievable.
He's a good-looking sort. And, you know, watching the race back from the other favorites, I couldn't find really any excuse, Paul. I just think Angel of Empire was much the best yesterday.
Well, we got to be truthful when we come to this. It just seems like over last year and this year, got to be honest, second time when the horses have transferred from Baffert to Yachteen, they just have not performed. I'm being honest.
Yeah, we'll see. But Angel of Empire really solidifying his chances. I think, Greg, with another step forward, certainly flattered to Phils, who won the Jeff Ruby Stakes and has the biggest buyer speed figure so far that I know of. I'm sure Andy will correct me if I'm wrong. So maybe that Risen Star is better than it originally looked. Guys.
Well, I mean, it's a valid point by Maggie when you consider how well Two Phils ran in his next start, but it was on synthetic, and Two Phils had a bit of a trip in there. Maybe yesterday's result, Maggie, moves up Angel of Empire. I mean, moves up Two Phils along with Angel of Empire.
Maybe it does, and you
I got a
see
little love for him.
The Japanese horse on that list.
Well, he might be the best horse of all of them. I mean, that figure makers pretty much agree that, you know, if you look at the buyer scale, his figure would be, whatever it would be 5 points higher than the Dubai World Cup. If you give the Dubai World Cup 100, even a 98, let's assume it wasn't a very good race. It's got to be okay. It puts it a figure that's higher than anybody else has got in these races. The problem with the Japanese horse is Japan to Dubai. Dubai back to America. The Dubai to America trip to run the Derby in just 6 weeks. The Derby is a very, very hard race to win. To add these other variables in it makes it tougher. But there's very probably a good argument that the Japanese horse is the most talented horse coming in the race, but he's also not going to be a big price. There's a lot of maybe justified sort of hysteria for the Japanese horses. I could see him 5-1 in there. Maybe he should be, but it just feels like too many handicaps to overcome. But I have no doubt that he's a very good horse.
And again, back to real quick, we already saw what Forte did in the Florida Derby, but off that performance, you don't think it's going to be some huge, overwhelming favorite?
No, I don't. And I think when you look at the figures, he took a step back. I'm not saying Forte shouldn't be the favorite here, by the way, but I think his performance yesterday will ask some questions. And don't forget, the Wood, the Bluegrass, the Santa Anita Derby.
Still to come, yeah.
They're still to come. There could be a breakout performance in those races, or some of the good horses could fall by the wayside. There's a lot of racing to be done, and don't marry yourself to Derby opinions until they've run those races and we see how the horses are doing going up to the Derby. A lot of time.
All right, post break coming up, 5th at Oaklawn. This will start the pick 5. 2-turn mile, maiden special weight, and we start with Unload for Steve Asmussen, debuted sprinting, and we'll stretch out for start number 2.
He feels like a very interesting stretch out second time out for Steve Asmussen. Big numbers doing it. I'm actually going to, he comes out of an interesting race too.
Yeah, top 2 in that race came back to win again. Juilliard, 14-1.
Yeah, claim for 50,000 seems like a decent claim and does have some speed.
Kenny McPeek with Southern Sunset beat by less than a length at this same condition last start.
Every time I say I'm against a Kenny McPeek horse, they win. 16-1 last time, much shorter today.
I'm surprised he's 3-1. We'll see if that price comes down. Mad Hustle, first-time starter for McPeek as well.
Yeah, not taking any money, probably not a great sign.
Son of Tapret, Belmont Stakes winner. Citizen Ron Moquett.
Just looks a little slow in a competitive race.
So the 2-time horse of the year, Curlin, 31-1. Of course, Paulie was talking about the Moquett horse who was completing the Exacta yesterday at huge price in the Arkansas Derby. Texas Pride, D. Wayne Lucas.
Yeah, he's another horse that's a big price. It just seems a little slow.
Simovic, blinkers come off, Don Von Hemel.
Has that one fast race sprinting on a wet track. The other race is not fast enough.
Brad Cox, start number 2 with Nyquik.
This horse had a bit of a trip in his race. I won't be shocked when he runs better, but he's no 7-5 shot to me.
Horse who beat him lined up in the Arkansas Derby yesterday.
Hey, beat my horse.
Okay. Gatlinburg.
Most did.
28-1 on the outside.
Just didn't do enough running for me. I'm going to bet the 1 in here, Unload. I'm scared of Nyquik. I'm scared of Southern Sunset, but I like the 1 Unload is interesting here. I'm interested what the others think.
3-1, yeah, seems pretty good on Southern Sunset. But Maggie, Paul, it's Brad Cox taking all the money here.
Yeah, he is. So let's talk about Nyquik first here, Paulie. He's one that ran very well, kind of had to overcome quite a bit in that debut race and was still able to get up to secure 4th. Flattered yesterday by Seeking Unity, finally breaking through. Yeah. But what did you think about his chances? Does he deserve to be the 7-5?
Well, I guess he does, because when you look at the 3 in here, Southern Sunset, I don't know, last time I've seen a horse start twice and been disqualified in the first 2 starts. But listen, he lugs in. He's kind of still a little bit green. And Brad's horse is dropping. And I think the presence of Flavian Steen here to ride these horses has got a little influence as well.
Right, with the money, with people paying attention. As you mentioned, Southern Sunset, crazy. I was flabbergasted seeing that. But both times, too, wired by a horse on the front end. And Major Blue, he came back to win his next start, albeit sprinting and posting an 80 Beyer speed figure. But as we check out this replay here of the race back on March 11th, you can't really see it at the on the pan, but you see him lug in there. But why he lugs in, Paulie, I think is mechanical. He really wings his left front, and I think he's just naturally kind of paddling, if you will, over to the rail. So he's gonna have to run straight. As far as equipment, look, I don't know what he wore the first 2 times, but today he has those big cheater blinkers on with a Houghton bit, which I always say is for horses that want to lug in or lug out with a figure 8. If he runs straight, do you think he can win?
Well, yeah, I think he does. He's got the best figures in here, and you're looking at a Brad Cox horse that's probably just getting over bet because it's Brad, but that horse is live. I think Simovich is 7.
I'm really interested in
I understand,
him with
and
the
you're
blinkers
sitting the
off.
9. I actually think the 1's got a shot. The horse that Andy likes, Unload for Asmussen, because his horses are just firing. But you're interested in a long shot, the 31-1 shot on the outside, the other Asmussen.
I am. Unload, great pedigree for this. But the dam being a full den tappable, Patio Prado in there as well. He doesn't look like Longer's better. He is tiny, Paul. Now, he's well prepared. Physically, he was acting a bit studdish back in the paddock, too. I can understand liking him, but I'm just not convinced to take him. But yeah, I thought Steve Asmussen's other horse in here, Gatlinburg, I know he didn't do too much running, but he was sent out of the gate. He ended up 6 wide going into that first turn at Fairgrounds, and he was just green when he got behind horses. I like blinkers going on. He really caught my eye from a physical perspective.
I could never talk you off a 33-1 shot. I'm surprised that this horse is even money. I do think the 3 does have a big shot here, but, you know, listen, Christian Torres, he's the master. Hopefully he can keep this horse straight down the lane.
Yeah, we'll see. That's the big question, Greg. Can Southern Sunset stay straight as we head up to track announcer Jim Byers for the call of this 5th race here at Oaklawn?
Southern Sunset and Simovich. In goes the first-time starter, Mad Hustle. Nyquik and Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg will complete the loading. All in line. And they're off. Nyquik, a good start on the outside. From the inside, Unload out well. Juilliard splits those 2. Gatlinburg is racing in 4th and looking to drop in a bit. Simovich gets out in 5th, and right on the inside, Southern Sunset is 6th. Citizen is outside of him in 7th. Then 4 lengths back to Mad Hustle, and trailing the field is Texas Pride. They move on to the backstretch. Unload with the lead here by a neck. And just to the outside is Juilliard. Farther out, Nyquik is settled 3 deep. He's racing in 3rd up the backstretch, essentially in tandem with Simovich. And then splitting those 2 is Gatlinburg. He's racing in 5th. And Southern Sunset is inside of him. He's about 4 lengths off the lead while saving ground, and Citizen is a bit wide. He's about 4 or 5 deep into that far turn in the white. And then comes Mad Hustle, and trailing the field still is Texas Pride. Finish line is the 16th pole. They round that turn, and Unload continues to lead the way. By a neck here to Juilliard. And Nyquick up on the outside. Nyquick is making his bid now. Nyquick is 3 wide, coming to the top of the short stretch. He is all in here while 3 wide. Southern Sunset to the inside is going to need to get going. They straighten away here for the short stretch. Big battle on, and it is Juilliard and Tyler Bays taking over. And then Unload to the inside, Nyquick to the outside. It's Juilliard, 3 parts of a length to Nyquick, Unload, and Southern Sunset.
Juilliard, who had been 7th each of the last 2 starts at this similar condition, breaks through here today.
A nice claim by the Connections for $50,000. They just got even. Not even, they're ahead. And this horse ran well. My horse had no excuse, Unload. He simply can't get the distance, and he's not that good. He's supposed to win this race if he's good enough. But Juilliard gets it done. I'm going to tell you something. I want to bet against the 8 Nyquick next time. This horse was in a long drive for a long time. I think he only finished 2nd by default. He feels like a horse that's just kind of slow.
17-1 on your winner. We're going to get back to New York when we return from a break. Race 6 is next. Starter optional claiming race, 1-turn mile. That was a look at In Spite of Trainer. Contender for Linda Rice. You'll have Jose Lezcano aboard. Stay with us.
City of Light, a multiple Grade 1 winner with $5.6 million in earnings. Winner of the Grade 1 Malibu, the Grade 1 Triple Bend, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, posting a 110 buyer, and the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, posting a 112 buyer. The best son to date of leading stallion Quality Road. City of Light stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
We're back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Thanks for those watching out on Bally SoCal as well. We have the 6th coming up in New York next. And this race, a 1-turn mile starter optional claiming race as we take a look here at Incantation for the James Bond Barn. Prenatami Torres will be aboard coming off a state-bred maiden claiming victory, drop down for the win.
Every horse in this race is blinking light to 2. 5-2, 7-2, 9-2. I think the knock on Incantation, who I scratched into as my second choice in here when the 4 came out, is that the horse that he beat last time, Midnight Express, was a heavy favorite in the first race here the other day and was dreadful in finishing 3rd. So that's a bit of a knock on that race. But he did run well, but he does have the feeling, to me at least, a bit of a last time was the time. I prefer the 3 going in style, trainer change on this horse, and hopefully the controlling speed.
Eric Cancel will be aboard. Blinkers going on that 3. Favorite, though, Winning Connection. This may change, though. He's a closely bunched board.
Yeah.
2-1, 9-2 separates everybody in here. And we'll see Winning Connection first. Pat Reynolds, Dylan Davis on board.
This was actually lost to Going in Style in a maiden race going back to, I think, the beginning of the meet here. I did not like the last race, but he has enough form to be a contender.
The one we showed you going to break, the 2, in spite of trainer Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano.
Appeared to be losing his form, at least in the sloppy seal track. His last dry track race was a win, but not a very fast win.
Yeah, it was a win at 6 furlongs for $75,000. Maiden claiming Going in Style. Blinkers on, as we said.
Interesting trainer change to a trainer that's just starting out in his own. I thought he could be the controlling speed, and he's run against better horses in his last 2.
Incantation, that win at this distance against a softer group last out.
Yeah, last time was the time at 5-1. Not impossible here, but I prefer others.
And Kingfish Stevens' win for him came on the grass at Gulfstream.
That's the thing, right? His dirt races are atrocious. I don't know how you take him in here off a turf win.
Surprised he's 9-2.
Right, he feels like a rank outsider in this race.
Jonathan, your thoughts here in race 6?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 5, Incantation, towards the outside. This horse got loose last time, but does have some tactical speed. And if you look through the pace figures, it's a slight edge to Incantation, to at least to be 4. But if it's not Incantation, it's not the 5 horse. It is horses. This horse is very close to the other ones, being drawn outside, very similar to what we saw last time with Bustin Bay, the 6, who ended up. Both the 6 and the 2 in the last races kind of broke a little bit slowly, but the 6 had more options being drawn towards the outside. I feel the same way about the 5 in here. I do think the 3 Going in Style is live, but I think the 5 is drawn better, drawn outside, has some tactical speed, should be able to work out any trip that they want from out there, and you're getting 7-2. So, if you're playing any multi-race wagers, I think maybe you'd like to include the 3. But I'll take the 5 towards the outside. And my man, Richie Migliore, I know he liked being drawn outside with a little bit of speed.
Absolutely, JK, and try to control things from the outside. I'm with you on Incantation. I think this horse being drawn towards the outside, his first 2 starts didn't break particularly well. Last time was able to get into a rhythm. He's a big, strong horse that I think when he's allowed to get into a good stride, which he should be allowed to do today in a small field, I think he's going to be tough to beat. I also see a horse that, to me, looks like that light bulb went on. He just seems more focused, more centered, even going out to the track, where I thought he was a bit more green his first couple of starts. It just took him a little while to kind of figure the game out, and I do think he can even take a step forward here. The 3 Going in Style really caught my eye in the warm-up. Like the way this horse warmed up. Left the pony moving beautifully, adds blinkers on the stretch out, so you would have to think he'll probably be fairly involved early, and certainly has that coat that I look for this time of year. In particular, horses that, coming out of wintertime, sometimes their coats just aren't up to snuff. They look a little dry. Not the case with this guy. He really looks good and has warmed up well.
Mig, thanks. Going in Style 3-1. There he is. Yeah, strutting his stuff there for his first race back since New Year's Day.
He is the co-favorite looking at doubles with the 1 currently at 2-1. We'll see if he drops down late. But we're taking a look at him breaking his maiden. In this race, he beat Winning Connection. That was back on October 28th, sort of late in the famous Belmont at Aqueduct meeting. I just think that he's an interesting horse, making a barn switch. I'm not familiar with this trainer. I had thought this trainer was an assistant to Scott Lake. I obviously was wrong. Somebody told me on Twitter that he asked Scott Lake, and Scott said, no, that wasn't the case. And I must have gotten mixed up about something, because I remember hearing something I believed about him when he saddled his first horse, but he's had only 2 starters so far, and I just thought he could be an interesting horse as potentially the speed. I could bet him at 3-1. I'm not going to bet him if he drops down to 2-1.
No great prices to be had in this group. Again, 9-2, the biggest price in here, and that one seems, again, like as you said, a rank outside of the win came on grass. It's shown 0 dirt for him.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a 4-1 shot in the race that, in my opinion, and I think you agree, is a complete toss. So now you're talking about the takeout being reduced. So if you play based on that, you can create value for yourself in any way possible because the 6 is taking too much money at this point. Now, my guess with the 6 is he's probably twice that price in the exacta pools. So maybe the value isn't there. But you create value not necessarily by finding horses, because it's very hard to do, that are overpriced, by getting rid of horses you don't like that are getting overbet, right? And if you're right about that, that's how you can throw things in your favor. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat. And listen, the most successful player I ever knew in racing was somebody that I wouldn't consider a great handicapper, but is as good a bettor as you'll ever find. A brilliant, truly brilliant bettor.
Yeah, we've talked about that before in this program. Handicapping and structuring your wagers, two completely different things.
Handicapping is overrated, and I'm a handicapper. And handicapping for making money at the racetrack. And sometimes, one thing that can get you in trouble as a handicapper is having too many opinions. I think you want to say to yourself, what is your opinion in this race, And it's like I used to get in trouble because I'd like a long shot, and then I'd say, I don't like the favorite. No, you got to be careful. You bet a big long shot. That horse finishes second, the favorite, and you don't make money in the race. You're a fool. You're a bad bettor and a fool. And it's important to learn how to make money with picks, and you get in trouble. My opinion is I like a 15-to-1 shot. It shouldn't be I like a 15-to-1 shot, and I don't like the favorite. Liking a 15-to-1 shot's enough. Why overcomplicate and get yourself in trouble by overcomplicating your opinions? And I think a lot of us, and I do it too, I'm not criticizing others.
Also, too, if you like a 15-to-1 shot, it's okay to make wagers with him if he doesn't win, right?
Second, yeah. Or even third in tries, depending on how you look at it. I think you have to ask. Depends situation. There might be a situation where you really feel strongly and you think, I'm going to make money. This is going to win. And I'm going to But you have to let situations dictate themselves. And that we have exactas, we have tries, you even have supers, where you can make money in different pools. Because at the end of the day, it's not about being a hero. It's about making money. And if you can find a way to make money, if your 15-to-1 shot runs third, you make money with it, that was a good pick, and it was good betting.
And sometimes as you work your way through a card, you're still alive in a multi-race sequence, and you find yourself not covered somewhere, that can back you into still making money if you were wrong on your big wager using the horse that you had left out.
If you play backup tickets, you hopefully have those horses. But sure, being alert to the board, betting a horse you weren't normally going to bet because he's 8-to-1, and he was your third choice.
Yeah. Here we go, race 6. It seems wide open. The board reflects that. 1-turn mile coming up. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Kingfish Stevens is in. All set. And they're off. Broken a good line. Winning Connection's got speed to the inside. There's Incantation. Kingfish Stevens and In Between Horses is going in style. The Triller is In Spite of Trainers. They get set to come out of the chute, and well off the rail is Eric Hensel and Going in Style, and that's Drifting Incantation, and Kingfish Stevens way out in the far outside. Down the inside is going to be Winning Connection, who hugs the rail, is now second to last with In Spite of Trainer, and those two are 3 off the lead. It's Going in Style in front. Going in Style went 23-1 for that opening quarter mile. Incantation is right to the outside from second. Taking off the pace a touch was Kingfish Stevens as Winning Connection and In Spite of Trainer. They move as a pair, and they're getting much closer now. They're ready to challenge for that third spot as Going in Style is 7-2 and approaches the half-mile pole, is up by 3/4 of a length. Incantation has been there the entire journey, loses some ground going into the turn. Winning Connection with a ground-saving trip. Here comes Dylan Davis with Winning Connection. It's a wide run here for Kingfish Stevens. Is right there with In Spite of Trainer, and In Spite of Trainer and the lime green silks emerges as a threat as well. Going in Style is still in front. In Spite of Trainer and Kingfish Stevens, they're now second and third. Is the rail going to be open here for Winning Connection and Dylan Davis to push on through? And it is. They approach a quarter mile left to go. They reach the top of the stretch, and Winning Connection found the seam and kicks for home. It's Winning Connection who's in front. In Spite of Trainer is up on the outside, is ready to challenge. Winning Connection is now ready to challenge In Spite of Trainer, and Winning Connection is gutting it out and finding a touch more. In Spite of Trainer is trying to straighten up, is now within a head of the leader inside the final 16th. In Spite of Trainer is now in front. In Spite of Trainer, Winning Connection coming right back. In Spite of Trainer gets the victory. In Spite of Trainer over Winning Connection. Then came Kingfish Stevens in 1:39.4.
Became a 2-horse race down the stretch. In Spite of Trainer. These connections win a lot of these. Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano.
And that's the second horse today that had been running poorly for Linda Rice that kind of resurrected himself. Bourbon's Hope, whose recent form had been horrendous. he actually reinvigorated himself to a win today. Not a killer field, but a win nonetheless. And in spite of Trainer here, who looked like a winner, and then the one screwed up the rail and looked to have the race won, but in spite of Trainer, would not be denied. This is 2 for Linda, and maybe she had a lull for about 2 weeks after winning a lot of races, and they're running again, but also they're finding the right spots as well, and that's why Linda Rice does as well as she does. She finds the right spots.
2-1, 6-3. In spite of Trainer at 3-1 here. As third choice on the board. Prices for you. When we come back, in spite of Trainer out dueling Winning Connection, Lezcano, Linda Rice 315 Racing. We'll be back. Our feature is up next.
Good magic in a good-looking performance. Cruises home in the Haskell Invitational.
And it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Nest, much the best. Elite Power on the far outside, and Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. On the outside, it's Malafat coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? It is Malafat.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on FS2. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. 6th at Aqueduct in the books, in spite of Trainer out dueling Winning Connection in that stretch drive under Jose Lezcano.
I'm going to say this horse is named improperly for Linda Rice because of Trainer. Gets the money, and Lezcano never giving up despite a very good ride and trip for Winning Connection and Dylan Davis. That horse slipping up the rail, but in spite of Trainer was relentless going to the wire and getting it done for the second win today.
It's not the original connection to this horse, but sounds like they may have had some issues with their trainers in the past.
It's a very clever name. It's really a funny name, you know. It's like
Spitester horse, yeah, and in spite of Trainer. Well done. $8.50 for the victory. That is the second win, 10 starts for this 3-year-old. Our feature next. Top Flight at 1 1/8 miles. We previewed it at the top of the program. Kathleen O back in action and opens up. We're going to see 2 to 5 here momentarily. Started out 4 for 4 to begin her career for Shug McGahee, including back-to-back graded stakes wins before getting finally beaten the Kentucky Oaks last year.
As one of the favorites at 4-1 that day. Has she disappointed a little bit? A little bit, but she lost to a horse that's in great form for Todd Pletcher down in Florida. She's the one to beat. Her lack of speed's the only issue.
Javier Castellano will ride heavy. Odds-on favorite. Kathleen O, Devona Dale, Gulfstream Park Oaks winner from last year. Trying to get back to the winner's circle for the first time since April of 2022. We'll be back with the feature next.
known agenda.
For a time, as many as 350 major league players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all major league teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
Great history in the town of Hot Springs. And, of course, some tremendous racing as well. We still have the best yet to come on this Sunday card. Race 6. Up next, we just had a 17-1 shot back in the 5th in Juilliard. 6th race, non-winners of 3 lifetime. $50,000 tag. They're all up for sale for that price, going 6 furlongs. And here's a look at Lamutanati. Steve Asmussen off the claim.
Yeah, it was claimed off a big win last time out. Did run a huge number last time out. It's one of those one-number type horses, though, right?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, a lot of bit. Keith Asmussen for Dad.
Big race.
League of Legends 4-1, who ran a pretty big race last time out as well. That was a beaten favorite.
I agree, but lost to a horse that was a Robertino Diodoro horse off the claim. Thought he was a player in this race because there could be some pace.
Outrun him hasn't been able to do that much.
No, I think it was named. He should be named I'm Outrun.
29-1 for a reason. Texas Red Hot Randy Morse trains Calvin Burrell.
Much like League of Legends, he's a contender if he can get enough pace to run at. I think at 11-1 he's usable in here.
Going to cut back in distance today. The 5 Improbable Journey Larry Jones.
He's the horse to beat. He's been running consistently the fastest numbers. Is the pace with he and the 1 potentially going to be too fast?
He's faced some good ones. Cogburn, edge to edge.
Way
Lucky Boss, the 6. He's 5-1.
I don't know why he's taking so much money. He's second off a layoff. Maybe he'll improve, but I didn't like him.
Penetrator, big price. He comes off a win against Softer.
Yeah, he'd have to take another step forward off that. He did improve off the claim, though.
David Cabrera on Banjo Bear, Chris Hartman horse, who's big odds, a rarity.
Yeah. Hey, listen, is Chris Hartman a big price? I'm not talking anybody off him. His big race in a sloppy track, though.
And Matt's Fire and Ice on the outside. Christian Torres meets leading rider on a huge number.
Yeah, for a trainer that just has no success at Oaklawn at all. I'm going to take the 5 with the 2 and 4. That's my play here.
All right, minute to post coming up. Let's go to Maggie and Paul for more.
And guys, let's talk about the horse that kind of looks like the class here, Paul, and that's number 2, League of Legends, along with the pace horse Improbable Journey, who's faced some better ones. But League of Legends, I just thought last time he had too much to do. He was too far back as the beaten favorite. Is it going to be the same case today, though?
It could happen. It really could. You know, when you look at this horse's PPs, you know, the one win when he broke his maiden was by a neck, so you kind of get a little worried. But then he blitzed the field by 7. So my thought process is now, okay, he's the kind of horse that will go by horses. Then he started his campaign in December, and he's got a little bit better and better, and he finally caught a field cutting back on the distance. Had a little bit of trouble. Johnny Court, usually not a guy that's 5 wide. He actually does stay married to the rail most of the time. So, but Andy makes a good point. He's going to have some pace in front of him.
Exactly. He did get a nice solo warm-up out on the racetrack. Made a great impression, really, overall, as one of the logical contenders. Now, Steve Asmussen on the rail with La Mutanati. Those type of names, you always got to take it slow.
Yeah.
I usually mess it up. That time I got lucky. But anyway, I looked at a stat for Steve Asmussen here, and when he steps up a horse 50% jump off the claim in dirt sprints, he's 15 for 71. So he has had success in doing this. It's just he has to deal with Improbable Journey to his outside.
Yeah, he does. I mean, but this horse is in very, very good form. I mean, just loses by a nose, then gets claimed. He's been in 2 very good barns. He's sharp right now, and at age 5, maybe he's starting to come into his own.
Yeah.
And Keith is riding better and better, and I would think he's got to send from the rail, like the guys were talking in New York, and he's going to maybe have to deal with the other horses on the outside. But we'll see what happens. Steve is kind of not ultra aggressive, but he's been able to sit on a horse. He might sit on the rail, but that might give the other horse a bigger advantage.
Yeah, Improbable Journey just blew it last time. He was bumped by a foe, too, coming out of the gate, and then he kind of rushed up between. And whenever that happens with a speed horse, it's usually kind of a toss-out race.
My thing with Improbable Journey is when you look at her races, or his races in 2022, they were getting better. I feel like the races that you see, the last 6, I'm seeing the same movie every time.
Exactly.
So
plateau.
I think this horse is just plateaued. So is this horse going to be able to maybe out-sprint this whole field? I get it, but are we going to get another 83 buyer? Does that win this race? Because that's all you've been getting out of this horse.
Well, he does get the class relief. We'll see if that has any bearing dropping in for the 50 here. But, Paulie, the horse that definitely won the beauty contest, at least, was number 4, Texas Red Hot. As he turns back in distance, the thing that's really stopping me from going full force with him is what Andy said, and that's his lack of pace.
Yeah, it's just, the 3 horses in here are him, the 2, and Andy said it, the 6 Lucky Boss for Cipriano Contreras. They're the 3 horses in here. I think if there is speed, whoever gets the first jump could be very, very dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see if a pace still develops in here, Greg, and who can take advantage of it if it does.
All right, thanks you two. Down to even money on the 5 here. Improbable Journey, who certainly wants to be forward, one of those.
He's got such an advantage consistently over this field with Figs, and if the one is not aggressive from the inside, and I'm not saying he won't be, but if he isn't, I think he may be able to control this race, and that'll really throw into his advantage because his main rivals have no speed. So if the pace gets fast, it can help them, but if it doesn't, how are they going to beat the 5? Even a fair pace.
Just been facing,
better horses.
So much tougher.
Yep.
The 5 compared to the likes of the 1. The 1 did face edge to edge, but did nothing against that horse, and that was way back.
No, his race against Cogburn was very good. I'm not trying to beat this horse. I think the horse at a price that I could use is the 4 because I do like turnbacks. The other thing is Randy Morse's horses have really been running at this meet, especially lately. We've seen some very good performances from them, so I didn't think he was totally impossible. But I think the 4 is a very likely winner here. 5's a very likely winner, excuse me.
And board reflects that, so public agrees. But we'll see if this Team Asmussen horse, the 1, can make an impact in here. And that big figure, and as you said, sort of a 1-number horse that came on a muddy, sealed track. Can he back it up here on the fast going? Still going to talk about a filly who did that yesterday, had something to prove on a dry, fast track, wet paint.
She sure proved it.
She really did. Now 4 for 4 on dirt, but that was the first time on a dry surface and looked as good, if not better, on it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she ran the best figure she's ever run. She got an 89 buyer. The race appeared to be a fast one. We talked about it on the show, and I can't knock her at all. I'm not knocking her. I just wonder if the field will be tougher when she gets to Kentucky. That's all I'm wondering a little bit.
Keith Asmussen on the one, stepping in, League of Legends player as well with John Court. In his 60s, teaming up here with Jinx Fires.
In a lot of ways, the one is the key to the race, because if he's aggressive, he could be the thorn in the side of the 5. If he's not, it's up to somebody else, and I don't know if anybody else could potentially run with that horse.
That would set it up nicely for the 2 League of Legends.
Yeah.
Jim Byers the call. Here's race 6 to start the pick 4.
Banjo Bear is going to be the last to load. Banjo Bear moves up. Race 6 in the gate. And they're off. Outrun them with a stumble at the start. Matt's Fire and Ice is absolutely blazing early on here and draws clear from Banjo Bear and La Mutanati on the inside. Outrun him is being used hard. He's racing in 4th. And then outside of him is Lucky Boss in 5th. Improbable Journey is 6th up the backstretch and about 6 or 7 from the front. And then a 3-length break back to Penetrator, Texas Red Hot, and League of Legends, difficultly placed here at this point, is back there trailing the field, and a well spread out group here for this sprint as La Mutanati has taken over from the quick breaking Matt's Fire and Ice. And to the outside of him is Banjo Bear, and to the inside, Improbable Journey. Here comes the favorite, making progress in the orange toward the inside here. La Mutanati has the lead on the rail with a little bit of daylight in the upper stretch. Improbable Journey trying to chop into the margin. And then comes Banjo Bear in 3rd. Lucky Boss down the center. And getting into it very, very late, League of Legends for a minor piece. But La Mutanati has gotten the better of them here. Improbable Journey's going to have to settle for a 2.5 length defeat in 2nd. Texas Red Hot came out of the pack for 3rd. League of Legends a non-threatening 4th.
La Mutanati, Keith Asmussen sticks to the inside here, overtakes the 9 fairly early on, and just keeps on rolling.
Well, we talk about betting against one-number horses. In this case, you wanted to bet on the one-number horses. He justified that last performance. As you say, he didn't even have that strong a beginning. They were flying up front. You would have thought the pace would collapse, and it did. If you take the 1 out, everybody else fell apart. And if it was 1-5-4 with my 4 sucking up for 3rd at a big price, but the winner was much the best.
Faster opening quarters, too, that we've seen at the meet.
This
Flying.
one ran huge.
Feature next in New York. 1 1/8, Top Flight, and Kathleen O. Started her career perfect, 4 for 4, back-to-back graded stakes wins. Going into last year's Kentucky Oaks when she got beat for the first time. Trying to win for the first time since April of last year. There she is. Shug McGahee, Javier Castellano team up. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, guys, and obviously the path to the winner's circle goes squarely through the number 4, Kathleen O. She looks terrific. She's sporting that Florida tan. Horses coming out of the South Florida climate in the winter, dappled out, coats resplendent, had her last work at Payson Park on March 25th. Now, Payson isn't as deep a surface as it once was, but it's still not as glib as a lot of other racetracks. Horses get a great deal of foundation, and that 48-3 work, best of 72 that day. Real solid work for a trainer who does not put a lot of pressure on his horses in the morning, like kind of lets them have nice long gallops to the pole and good gallop outs. And obviously a Hall of Famer, Shug McGahee, Kathleen O is going to be very tough to beat here. Obviously, horse that's really impressed me is the 6, Timeless Journey. She just seems to have thrived on her workload this winter. She carries her weight. Obviously, a good doer, gets into the bottom of the feed tub, but she really impressed me. I mean, she looks more like she's coming out of Florida than spent the winter here. Really great job by Ray Handel to have her looking as resplendent as she is and carrying the weight that she does, coming off of good efforts. I mean, all 4 of her last efforts, 3 of them being wins, I thought were terrific. She'd have to take a step forward to beat Kathleen O, but she certainly looks like she's doing extremely well in the moment.
Thanks, New York bred, who has won 3 of her last 4. She's 12-1, the 6 Timeless Journey. Dylan Davis will be aboard for Ray Handel, but everybody got to try and beat this filly right here. Kathleen O, multiple graded stakes winner, runner-up in 2 graded stakes each of her last 2 outings. Squarely the one to beat. She's the 1-5 favorite. Post break when we come back.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown Triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com. Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile,
Essential Quality has won.
in the Belmont,
Essential Quality has won
well named.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. In 1981, Hall of Fame jockey Julie Crone won her first career race here, and in 2007, we saw Street Sense win the Tampa Bay Derby and go on later that year to win the Kentucky Derby. Featuring full fields, great turf racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5, Tampa Bay Downs is live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Those with us out in Valley Sports SoCal, thanks for being here as well. We have the feature coming up on our Sunday card here in New York. 1 1/8 top flight, fillies and mares, 4 and up, and a 1-5 favorite in Kathleen O. We're going to kick off our post parade here with Falconet for Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher with Jose Lezcano.
I think that Jose is going to be more aggressive with this filly. Last time, a sort of a tepid ride allowed the winner to crawl along in the front end to her disadvantage. She's not impossible here.
5-1. We move to Kathleen O with the scratches here. Blinkers go on.
1-5 is absolutely ridiculous for a horse that is pace compromised in this race. She's good. She's the most talented horse in the race, but 1-5 is way overboard.
Mama's got to run. She took a big move forward last time out for Linda Rice.
She did, but it was a one-turn race. Will she go back to her bad antics of taking herself out of the race in a two-turn race? But I do think she's the likeliest upsetter.
The New York bred Mig was touching on. She's won 3 of her last 4.
Yeah, I didn't think she was a contender here. When she beat Mama's Got to Run 2 back, Mama's Got to Run ran the best race.
And here's Let Her Inspire You. You don't see a lot of horses who are able to win sprinting 6 furlongs and win at 1 1/8. She's done that.
Yeah, I don't love her recent form, but she and the one, both Todd Pletcher horses, are in a potential position where they can control the races, the speeds. And if you're a trainer and you have 2 reasonably talented horses that both have speed in a small field, you can use that to your advantage, and you should use it to your advantage. And I think that makes both the 1 and 7 potentially dangerous in this race.
7 should be in front, right?
She's supposed to be in front. Depends how aggressive the 1 is.
Some big names have won this race in the past.
Wow.
Sightseek in 2002.
It's
Weah.
tricky. I loved it. Tricky.
Shuvie.
Weah, one of the greats of all time. Proud Delta, a tremendous horse. Trained, I believe, by Peter Howe. Shuvie, one of the all-time greats. Richie rode Busanda, I think. Not in the top flight, but I think he broke her maiden.
You're a terrible, terrible person. Mig, more on the feature.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get over that chuckle. That was good, Andy. I'm old. Not quite that old. But actually, I did win it on Katinka, though, so a few years later. I don't think there'll be Kathleen O here. I hear what Andy's saying. You know, she's a very short price for a horse that, you know, is going to come from off the pace. And it doesn't appear to be a tremendous amount of pace in here. I just can't get past how good she looks and, the company she's kept. I just think she's going to be a little bit too much for these here. The 5, Mama's Gotta Run. She's a filly that just seems like she does not run the turns as well as the straightaways, and that's why a one-turn race like last time gave her a chance to build momentum into that far turn. I think she's also a horse. We talk so much about the different rules and protocols with riding crops now. I think she's a horse a little bit hurt by the new rules, because if you have a horse that doesn't run the turn as well or doesn't run as well on their left lead, you would really gear them up going into that turn and really get after them so that they would kind of hit a momentum and carry you somewhat into the turn. And you really don't have the luxury to do that now, because you only have the ability to use the crop 6 times. So that's why, it's such an individual thing and how it's going to affect different horses. And I do think that's something that a rider has to consider when they ride a horse like Mama's Gotta Run. I do think she took a big step forward last time, but again, does seem at times to lose some focus or just not run as well on her left lead around the turns. And I think the 6 Timeless Journey at 16-1 is going to outrun her odds. She just looks too good for a horse that's had a pretty comprehensive campaign so far. She's 4 for 5 at Aqueduct with a second. This is her 3rd start this year. She's 2 for 2. I just think she looks too good to completely put a line through her here. I like the way she looks.
Chalk guzzling weasels on this show.
And look,
Mig and Jonathan.
Wow, well done, brave guys. Look, 1 of 5 favorite. Everybody's going with it. We were talking about it though off here. She does not have the figures that warrant, by any stretch, her being 1 of 5 in this race.
She should not be 1 to 5. She should be 3 to 5, 4 to 5. I don't know. I think the 4 or 5 is dangerous, but like Richie, I'm concerned that those bad habits will erupt around 2 turns.
Jonathan, I know you're going with her, but how do you feel about what price she's at?
Look, I could sit here for the next 18 minutes to tell you how to make money with this horse at 1 to 5, but in the next 30 seconds, I just got to tell you, if you're going to ask me who I'm going to pick, I'm going to pick her. Look, she closed last time into a slow pace. Wasn't ideal for her situation. Now, to Andy's point, she might catch that situation here today. But that was her coming in off of a little bit of a break. She has about 4 races when she was a 3-year-old that are better than most of these horses have run in the last year and a half, 2 years. So all she really needs to do is finally kind of take that step forward. And I think that although she was second last time, she kind of did take that step forward last time. It didn't work out with her getting her picture taken because of the way the race unfolded. Now, once again, that could happen here again today. But my argument is that I think she's going to be a little bit tighter this time around. I think she's going to take another step forward. And I think that Javier has obviously been paying attention, understands that there's a situation in here from a pace standpoint that could affect her. I think she'll be at least connected enough. And with it being a paceless race, this is sometimes one of those situations where 2 people have the same idea of trying to find the front end and they hook up a little bit. Look, I'm not telling you to bet this horse at 1 to 5. But if you're asking me who's going to win, I'm going to tell you it's going to be the 4.
Well, I think the extension of what Jonathan's saying also, and this is what I think, is I don't want to bet against her. I think the 4 is 5 is an okay price at 8-1. I wouldn't knock somebody for betting her. I think she's dangerous in here. I don't trust her around the 2 turns, but I don't want to bet against this horse. But I don't want to bet. I don't bet 1 to 5 shots.
Wow. We'll see if she can do it here. Being bet like she is a superstar.
This is overbet. It's partly the competition, but she's overbet.
Top Flight, our Sunday feature. Kathleen O, 1 to 5 favorite. Chris Griffin, the call.
They're all set for the Top Flight. And they're off. Kathleen O, off a step slow, is at the back end of the field, and the quartet is already 3 lengths in front of her. Kathleen O is the trailer at 2 to 5. On the front end, it's Mama's Gotta Run, who takes the lead from Falconet, who's going to take back to second as they slow down this pace early. Just off of that is going to be Let Her Inspire You, is to the outside of Timeless Journey, and now making up some ground is Kathleen O, but she's 6 off the lead. Mama's Gotta Run is alone up front. It's Mama's Gotta Run. It's 7-1. Takes him to the backstretch. Went 23-4 for that easy opening quarter mile. Falconet is now moving in closer, is within a length of that leader, and a tight hold on Timeless Journey, and the purple cap is at the rail. Let Her Inspire You is out in the center of the racetrack from fourth, and Kathleen O, with that slow start, is now within 4 of the lead and creeps in closer as they work up the backstretch. It's all Mama's Gotta Run right now. Mama's Gotta Run is up by a length and a half. Falconet is in good stalking spot right there in second. At the rail is Timeless Journey. Let Her Inspire You is losing some ground, is now 3 off the lead. No move yet from Kathleen O. They've got less than a half mile to go in the top flight. They went 48-3 for that half-mile time. Mama's Gotta Run is still in front. Falconet is now still trying to get within 3/4 of a length of that leader. Let Her Inspire You. Timeless Journey's got nowhere to go at the rail, and Kathleen O is going to launch a wide rally. The big favorite has got this wide run coming after the leaders, and she's not making up much ground yet. We'll see what happens in the stretch. It's Timeless Journey who pounces to the inside. Timeless Journey is ready to challenge. Falconet is up on the outside. Mama's Gotta Run is in between horses. Kathleen O is 4 off the lead and is now starting to go through the gears up the grandstand side, but has a lot of ground to make up. Falconet and also to the inside. Timeless Journey comes back, and Falconet has taken the lead. It's Falconet who's up by a half length. Timeless Journey is back to second. Kathleen O is running up into third. It's going to be Falconet to win the top flight. Kathleen O flies on late there to get second over Timeless Journey in 1 minute 51.42 seconds.
Falconet, the upset win of the top flight. Slow break for Kathleen O. Left herself a lot of work to do. Could not get there.
I thought Jose Lezcano was making a mistake, letting the 5 go off the lead and reining this horse behind her, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He was able to stalk that one, and she kind of ran off a little bit. Mama's Gotta Run. She collared her top of the stretch, and she came and won this race. Serves a lot of credit. Falconet, a horse who disappointed at 3-5 last week time, gets it done today as the second choice. And Kathleen O, I'm sorry, she just gets going when the race is over. I wonder if she's a horse that if you cut her back in distance around one turn, maybe she got a little faster pace. That might kind of help her running, because this is just like a plod along, right?
Wow.
And listen, I didn't like the winner, so I'm not going to, I can't. Somebody else won, but Kathleen O, this was a disappointing effort by her. I mean, she was only second because she sort of runs when the race is over. And Todd Pletcher's got her number. He's beat her 2 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it was never a point where she was threatening.
No, there was never a point in the race. And Chris Griffin said around the turn that she was struggling, and you could see it. I mean, there was never a point in this race where there was any real chance that she was going to win, right? Because once they asked them to do some running, she was dead empty.
Falconet, 7-2. 2 stakes wins at Aqueduct in the last 3 starts. And good to see Jose Lezcano riding for Pletcher here and getting a win. CHC Inc. WinStar Farm, Winning Connections, daughter of Uncle Mo, with the upset victory. Features still to come out at Oaklawn. He was once the dominant marathon distance dirt horse in the country. He's been off since summer of last year. Does he still have it as an 8-year-old? Lone Rock back in action, and the Temperance Hill still to come.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. Ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Warfront is the sire of over 100 lifetime stakes winners, including some of the sport's most talented runners both at home and abroad. The leading turf sire of 2022 by stakes winners and stakes performers. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by NYRA Bets. Get signed up, started, play along at NYRABets.com. Feature in the books here in New York, Falconet with the upset. And now 2 stakes wins the last 3 outings for Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher with this filly. Our winner's circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton Digital, North America's #1 digital auction platform for thoroughbreds. Fasig-Tipton Digital, the newest from the oldest. Learn more at digital.fasig-tipton.com. $9 for the win for Falconet, beating a 2-5 favorite here. Kathleen O, slow early.
I mean, the blinkers
the
blinkers certainly didn't help her. I don't like horses. The retirement, 58 years.
Man on the yellow cap there with Kenya, Sonny Taylor, 58 years at NYRA. Final day today, right?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, actually. Maybe he's here for his final day today, but yeah. No, it's nice to see Sonny. I saw him earlier. Yeah, his office, so he was the placing judge, so my office at Belmont's right next to placing judges. So I won't be able to see Sonny anymore. He stopped by quite a bit. A lot of legends in there. You got Nick Santagata, but Sonny's been around a long, long time, and obviously a very popular man as well.
Got to see him in some pieces we had during Black History Month. April 15th, 1964 is when he began at NYRA.
That would be 59 years, right?
Nearly 6 decades. Incredible. And yeah, today, the day he's stepping down, witnessed a lot of great moments, obviously, over that time.
Yes, he did. He was there when Richie rode Busanda, I think. Would you say 64? So, Shoe V a little bit after that. Been around a long, long time, Sonny.
Attended Southern University in Baton Rouge, actually played collegiate basketball.
Played a lot of tennis. He's an avid tennis player as well, Sonny. I'm sure we've not seen the last of Sonny. He will be visiting us quite frequently. We'll see him at Belmont. I believe he lives right by Belmont.
Became an assistant clocker here too, early on in his career, and that's what he was doing when Secretariat shattered the Belmont Stakes record in 1973.
There you go. No, Sonny, listen, he's been around the tracks as long as I've been coming here, and longer than that.
What a career. You sad to see him go. 8th to close things out on this Sunday card here in New York. 6 furlong sprint, $25,000 claiming race. It is for non-winners up to Lifetime Carbon. Jose Lezcano, Linda Rice, the one to beat. Let's head downstairs to Migdo for more on the feature.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm here with assistant trainer to Todd Pletcher, Byron Hughes, and Falconet was very good today. What were you thinking into the first turn when Jose Lezcano kind of eased back from the front runner?
Yeah, I thought he put her in a good spot. I think his plan was to save ground at that point when he didn't make the lead, and did a good job sitting right off the speed, I thought.
She seems to be like a typical Uncle Mo with that relentless kind of stride. Like maybe she's not going to quicken, but she's going to stay on.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, she grinded out there at the end and was able to pull away a little bit. But, yeah, I would agree. She doesn't have a real big kick.
You know, last time 1 turn mile, kind of a slow pace, and the winner kicked on where she kind of just stayed a bit even pace. Do you think she's a better 2-turn filly?
Yeah, I think she prefers it. Definitely I didn't have a real excuse for her last time except for the 1 turn. So definitely the 2 turns is her preference.
Byron, thanks a lot. Congratulations. And, guys, just a filly that's Hickory. Shows up every time. She's never run a bad race.
8 times first or second in 9 career starts. Yeah, really never has run a bad race. The only time finished off the board was 4th in the Cumley in a grade 3.
Finished behind Kathleen O that day, actually. But it seems like these last few races, you start to worry a little with a horse like Kathleen O if she's just kind of waiting on horses a little bit and not getting it done in these races. I'm probably wrong, but she's an upstart. Maybe that's why I think it is. And she's certainly run fast figures going longer. But I wonder if they cut her back and they could cut back to a mile, a 1-turn race or something, and they got a faster pace, a race like the Ruffian in a month at Belmont. Pace a little faster. That could help her chances.
To Oaklawn, mile and a 16th coming up in this 50,000 starter allowance. And our post parade is going to begin here in a moment with Magoo, McLean Robertson.
No, mister, just Magoo.
Just Magoo. 9-1.
Yeah, probably have to get a little faster to win here.
Charter Oak, I thought interesting at 13-1.
Well, just finished second to the number 7 sequel, who's Saquiel, who's 4-1. So yeah, seems like a bit of a overlay, right?
Francisco, yeah, Francisco Arrieta, no question. We'll ride here. Pat's Property has been off since June of last summer.
Yeah, it's a long, long layoff. Trayer is 1 for 30 off 6 to 12 month layoffs over the last 5 years.
Nick Juarez on Conspiracy Fact.
Yeah, the last figure was big. I mean, the horse is in very good form. It's a tough spot, but this horse is in good form.
Major General, numbers I look at, has gotten some very big figures recently.
Time Form US likes this horse a little bit as well. That's good numbers.
Winterwood at 3-1.
That figure 3 back kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Why is this horse taking so much money?
I thought it was
maybe a contender, but do you think he's supposed to be that much shorter than other horses?
Sakil, 9-2.
Well, Diodoro off a win in a rout at Oaklawn. He's 23% with a $3 ROI, but there's a big price horse in there.
Anti-Gravity had a couple of really good starts, tailed off a little bit last start for Jerry Hollendorfer.
Big figure 2 back, though. Another horse a big price.
And Trafalgar, Chris Hartman off the claimed off of Al Stahl, the 5-2 favorite.
Right, you're banking on this horse moving up for Chris Hartman off the claim from Al Stahl, but you're also getting 5-2, so you're not getting paid. I think there are better prices on the board here.
Got away from the likes of Epicenter, Jack Christopher, Cyberknife, and then finally won.
They're pretty good.
5-2 in the class relief. Let's go to Maggie and Paul for more.
And looking at this horse, guys, Trafalgar, Paulie, he just looks like the horse to beat. He looks sharp as well. And Chris Hartman, it seems as though when he claims his horses, he will put a little bit more speed into them. And also, he kind of does this, the previous trainer. If they're not that quality, he doesn't have that much trouble losing them. But sometimes, you know, other people don't want, other people do. And Chris Hartman does do well with these types. So I totally get him as a favorite. Did you have any reason to be against him?
No, I don't. You know, the race that he won at Fairgrounds last time, they just went slow around the racetrack. They did not go fast. It was only a 6-horse field. And when you watch the race, he just had that field over a barrel with dropping for 50. So I think it was a heady claim by Chris Hartman. I think the horse will sit a little bit closer. You get Mitch Merle aboard, who is a little bit more aggressive.
And already has a winner on the card. Shipping in here, as Andy said, we'll ride out the rest of this meet before going to Churchill. But a little interested, you are in number 8, Anti-Gravity.
The worry with Anti-Gravity, the horse is 0 for 12 at the racetrack. It stares you right in the face, which is very, very concerning. But you look back, and this horse was right there. I thought the horse bounced last time out. What I mean by bounce, just regressed off a really giant effort. And I think this horse can run big again, but has never won over this racetrack. But I like Isaac Casu. I've started to really like this rider as a finisher, and I think he can get the 8 to finish.
Number 4, Conspiracy Fact. He is looking for his 3rd win in a row for Greg Compton. I don't know, though. He feels like he's gotten just absolutely perfect trips and rides in his last 2, and I think he faces tougher company today.
Yeah, I think the positive you can take out, I'm kind of with you. He's been impressive. I think the positive you can take out of it is that maybe Nicky Juarez, you never want to play this game. You don't know what was going on through Gary Stevens' head, who's Nick's agent. But, you know, Nick chose this horse over a couple other horses, so maybe that's why this horse could be live here at 7-1. And Greg's a very good trainer. He's having a good meet.
Yeah, and number 1, honestly, from the looks perspective, I preferred Magoo. Just really well muscled, and when he got out in the track, he was kind of quiet in the paddock, and when he got out in the track, he really came alive, very animated stride to him. And I thought with that rail position, Martin Pedroza just has to go with this horse, and I think he will do and is supposed to do his best running when he can clear a field.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. This is a colt by Bayern, and sometimes a lot of these horses will take to their sires. You see the Shacklefords, they got to be in front, and Bayern's a little bit like that. And if you look back, this horse was chasing Call Me Fast, who is a very sharp horse for Chris Hartman. I think this horse sends from the rail. Marcelino's got to send from the rail, I would think. I think the 3 with Walter De La Cruz has got a little speed, but I think Magoo's got a big shot from the rail to 1.
Yeah, I like him at a price, guys, 9-1.
All right, we'll see from the inside how aggressive Marcelino Pedroza is on Magoo here for McLean Robertson. There's a few in here. I mean, again, I thought Charter Oak at 17-1. Interesting. Major General, the 5 at 10-1. Another one.
Well, I'm not saying I love Charter Oak in this race. but I think it's fair to ask yourself how he's 17-1 in here, and Sakil is 5-1. Now, maybe Sakil is supposed to be 12-1, but one of those odds has to be wrong, sort of, right? I mean, they did kind of hit the wire together last time. It doesn't feel like Charter Oak ran that badly in there. I think they had very similar trips, right? I don't know. I don't quite understand it. But.
And then Winterwood, the 6, it's a rider change. Ricardo Santana Jr. on Winterwood.
Got that big figure 3 back.
Huge figure.
Yeah.
And it was at Oaklawn.
Listen, I get why they're betting Trafalgar, and the horse may win. But I think you're taking all the worst of it at 9-5. And once again, price is what matters here.
Yeah, it's, again, like we were talking about with Kathleen O, doesn't represent his chances of winning this race.
Right. We're all... You're trying to make money betting, and I don't think you're going to make money over the course of a betting lifetime betting horses like Trafalgar at 9-5. I get it. The assumption is the horse is going to move forward for Chris Hartman. So many of his claims seem to. Not a problem. He's not running in an easy field. You know, yes, you're right. He got away, Trafalgar, and here he is winning at Fairgrounds from all his good horses. He also beat an invited guest last time who's a very so-so turf horse. So it's not like he beat a particularly good third horse.
And, you know, we say it too. Sometimes it was off a long layoff, coming back, having a performance, a winning performance like that. You're not necessarily going to move forward, start number 2, off a long layoff.
Right. I mean, listen, he's had almost 2 months since the claim, and I guess Chris wanted to give him time. And the intangible of Chris Hartman off the claim, it is what it is, but you're just not getting paid. And at the end of the day, you have to get paid. Because not all going to win. So I think there are some options here. Who exactly they are, I don't know. I think Anti-Gravity is a big price in this race, frankly, at 15-1. He'd probably be the one I would go to.
Meanwhile, Conspiracy Fact Juarez trying to win 3 in a row. Here at this Oaklawn meeting, he's 8-1. Jim Byers the call, race 7 from Oaklawn. Here we go.
Heads forward along with Anti-Gravity. And the last one in, the outside runner, Trafalgar. Trafalgar is in. They're all in line. And they're off. Right up the inside, Magoo is trying for the early lead. Pat's Property is going to challenge early on. Conspiracy Fact is 3rd. Major General 4th. Sakil is out there 5th. Charter Oak in the bright orange toward the inside. Trafalgar is 4 wide around that clubhouse bend. He's only about 5 lengths off the lead. Then it's about 3 to Anti-Gravity and 5 to Winterwood as they move on to the backstretch. Pat's Property carves out the pace here, if you can call it that. It's a very short lead. There goes Magoo up alongside now, and Conspiracy Fact outside of them in 3rd. And Sakil has found a spot toward the inside in 4th, followed a length back by Charter Oak, and then Trafalgar is now 3 deep up the backstretch, racing with Major General, and that flight is only about 4 lengths off a compact group. Up to the outside of them is Anti-Gravity, and Winterwood is by himself at the back end of the field as they round the turn. Pat's Property with the lead by 3/4 of a length. And then comes Conspiracy Fact. He's edging towards 2nd from the outside. Magoo is trying to stay with them, racing in 3rd. Trafalgar still in it to the outside. He's coming into the stretch in 4th, followed by Major General and Anti-Gravity. Sakil has dropped out of it with Charter Oak on the inside. They're in the stretch. Conspiracy Fact goes to the lead, a short lead, could be temporary. Here's Trafalgar up on the outside of them. Pat's Property still running a good one on the inside. Anti-Gravity is 4th, final 16th. Trafalgar is taking over. It's another for Mitchell Merle. Trafalgar's going to step clear. Pat's Property 2nd. Conspiracy Fact 3rd, and Anti-Gravity 4th.
Trafalgar is the favorite. Hopes and dreams for big prices in here and other options, and it's Chris Hartman off the claim at a short price.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised he won. He was 4 wide in the first turn, 3 wide on the second turn, and he just was pumping away at the 3-ace pole, and he just ran by them all. Listen, there's a reason Chris Hartman wins at a high percentage, and I think this race well represents that. Some overlays there with the 4 and the 8. They ran 3rd and 4th. And I still think the winner was somewhat of an underlay, but the way he won, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was the worst to beat too coming in, but I think 9-5 was a crazy bet. But the way he won, maybe it wasn't. Maybe there was no way he was ever going to lose this race.
He was on the Triple Crown Trail last year, beat by Epicenter. Call Me Midnight race before that. And now as a 4-year-old coming into his own. Doing it for a new barn here. Wins back-to-back races for 2 different barns. Chris Hartman off the claim with the favorite. Nightcap coming up in New York. Again, non-winners at 2 life claiming race to close it out. That is Carbon, the one to beat. Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano, post-parade when we come back.
Introducing a stallion as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Rock Your World in command. Medina Spirit making no progress. And it's going to be Rock Your World to take them all the way in the Santa Anita Derby. He's undefeated and wins by 4.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Back at Oaklawn, Trafalgar taking the 7th. That's back-to-back wins now. Chris Hartman, first off the claim. Horse who was on last year's Triple Crown Trail for a little while, now 4 for 9 in his career.
Yeah, I mean, the way he ran today, he feels like he's going to turn out to be a pretty good claim. I mean, he was wide, without cover the whole way around the track. He just ran by them all.
Feature next in Oaklawn. We'll get to it. It's the return of Lone Rock at the Temperance Hill. Back to New York first, though, for their finale 6-furlong sprint for this non-winners at 2 life claiming race. And Carbon trying to knock through that state-bred A-other-than condition for a while. Now it's going to drop down to this claiming level.
Yeah, Linda Rice does not have great numbers, dropping in for a tag for the first time, claiming race for the first time. In sprint, she's 16 for 73, 22%, a $1.38 ROI. Overall, she's 22% with a $1.53 ROI. This horse kind of lost her form a little bit. She's probably the horse to beat, but I don't know how much better she is than the other drop-down she's run against, the one Liberty Flame on the rail, who's a much, much bigger price. And I think she's a better gamble at 5-1.
Liberty Flame, Carbon, they've known each other pretty well. It's been the 3rd time they've met in 3 straight races.
They're saying hi in the paddock?
Could be. Carbon's finished ahead of her each of those 2 meetings.
I'm looking at Friday's overnight. Turf racing returns.
Such a great thing. Yeah, we have that grass right behind us. It's a beautiful sight.
Yep.
Here's Liberty Flame. So off since December 15th for Pat Quick.
Yeah, I think she actually ran pretty well in some races, involved in some tough paces that fell apart. She's dropping too, but she's a better price.
Got some speed to use from the inside as well. Here's Dylan Davis, mostly harmless.
She just seems overmatched to me. Her last race was a big improvement.
Took 20 starts to break her maiden. Here's Bonanna Fana Foe.
It's a fun name to say. It's a tough horse to bet.
10-1, you know. Dominant win against very soft competition last time out, was the favorite in that race. Ben, Sunny Island, blinkers on.
Horse has run only one time on the dirt, and it was a very, very poor performance.
Divine Wine actually going to drop from 40 to 25 non-winners at 2.
But the horse was claimed for 20,000. I picked this horse third. I think he makes a certain amount of sense. She does make a certain amount of sense, and she's probably more of a reasonable drop down than the 1 and 8.
Focus just missed at this level. That was back in January 20th.
Yeah, I thought this was a tougher field, though.
And Carbon, 3-2 favorite.
She's got too many seconds for me in thirds and race she should have won. She's the horse to beat. I don't trust this drop down.
5 minutes away from our finale here in New York. Jonathan, your thoughts on the nightcap?
Yeah, I mean, the 8 Carbon does feel like the one that, you know, you want to look from a class standpoint, but I didn't think it was that easy. I thought the 1 Liberty Flame was also extremely dangerous. This horse is drawn on the inside, has tactical speed, and it feels like the you know, last time going the 7, it feels like the cutback's going to help quite a bit. The last race that Liberty Flame was involved with fell apart. And if you look at her last, you know, 2 to 3 races, with a little bit of a different circumstance, she could absolutely win. I think that this is a 2-horse race between the 1 and the 8. I don't really believe that the other ones can run a race that matches what I believe the 1 or the 8 can run. And I just think that Liberty Flame is a little bit sneaky even with the 8 in terms of running style and I'm sorry, for pace figures. And I just think that she's going to run well in here, and I love the price at 5-1.
That's certainly one thing to like, that 5-1 over 3-2.
I think she's going to come down a little bit looking at doubles to be the second choice, but I agree with Jonathan. I like the 1 as well. So
let's take a look at Carbon, Liberty Flame.
You know,
December 15th.
There's really not a lot to say about this race, but the reason that I brought it up was I thought Carbon actually ran okay in here, even though she lost by 9 lengths, because she was involved in a pace that completely fell apart, and Carbon was taking advantage of that pace. So I actually thought it was a much better performance than the actual finish suggests. So for that reason, I thought she was a little bit interesting. As an alternative at a better price. Looking at the double, I don't know if you're going to get 5-1 by post time, maybe 7-2 or 4-1, but I'm still not sure that's not a fair price. I hope it is.
3 minutes away, this nightcap of the Sunday card. Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, interesting watching these fillies warm up. The 4 Ben's Sunny Island made a great appearance in the paddock, great coat. She's equipped with blinkers this time, but not just blinkers, an extension blinker on the outside. Talked with Rudy Rodriguez. He said that she's just showing a tendency to want to drift out. Trained her with the blinker that she's competing with and really got her focused and straightened her up. So I just thought that was an interesting note. The 6 Focus, I like this filly. I think she took a step forward from the last time I saw her. She's going to have to run faster, but she has speed. In a race that I feel like some of these others are a little suspect, I'm going to take a swing here at a big price at 11-1 because I think she just looks extra sharp to me. Focus. And then the 9 Carbon left the pony under Jose Oscano, got a huge warm-up. I mean, he really got her going, trying to get her to pick up the bid. It took her a while to kind of really get in the bridle and start showing that energy level, but she finally did after a very vigorous warm-up. But I'm seeing it with Focus.
I got a problem. I'm not allowed to agree with Jonathan. There's something wrong here.
That looks weird. You two
it
agreeing.
really does. Yeah, I'm not like this. I don't want this to happen anymore. And she drifted down. She's now 4-1. She was 7-2. Even money on the 8. I believe the 8 was entered for a tag. In fact, I'm 99% sure she was, and was scratched. I don't know if she's a vet scratch or not. Off her bad race last time out. She was tailing off. Now, we've seen Linda win with 2 horses that were tailing off in their prior starts. And the way they're betting her, maybe they know she's going to run big in here. But, boy, she's had some chances. I mean, she has lost at 5-2, 2-1, 8-5, and 3-2 in her last 4 starts. Yeah, it's an easier spot. But I think it's much more competitive with the 1 than the board suggests. But the board seems to be a lot smarter than I am.
Now 4-5.
Yeah, this is crazy.
On Carbon.
I'm going to get that money back from Kathleen O. You know?
Don't forget our feature still coming up at Oaklawn, about 18 minutes away from that Temperance Hill, and the return of Lone Rock, who for a while was about as sure a thing as there is in this sport. at a marathon distance.
He was in great form, but these horses get older and they lose that good form. You start to worry. And he's got some real competition in this race. I mean, I think Warrant is dangerous. He's the current second choice at 3-2. His Lone Rock is 6-5. But what about the 3 Strong Tide? Is it just a wet track this horse needs in the dirt?
We'll get back to it when we're done here. Post parade coming up for that one. So stick around. Right now, loading up. Here's Mostly Harmless, Dylan Davis for Carlos Martin. This horse, at least with tactical speed.
I'd assume that horses like the 4, Ben Sunny Island, could be the speed. I don't think she's really any that good. I also think that Liberty Flame can be close here. And with the scratch of the 7, I'd like to see the 1 look to be forward coming out of the gate.
Yeah, coming in fresh, too. You would think the one from that post has got a fire out of there. Nightcap from New York, 4-5 favorite. Carbon from the outside. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Carbon, the last to move in. All set. And they're off. Breaking well down at the rail there is Liberty Flame, and Carbon is up on the early mix. There's Focus, and in between horses comes Ben Sunny Island now. Ben Sunny Island with the nose in front. Liberty Flame is not going anywhere, comes right back after her, puts a nose back in front. Focus is going to be just off of them in third. Driven along is Divine Wine, gets passed by Carbon up on the outside. They're 4th and 5th, and they are way at the far outside. Banana Fenifo and the trailer. Mostly Harmless. Liberty Flame secures the front. Has pressure. It's Liberty Flame who's up by a neck. Right to the outside now comes Ben Sunny Island. Is starting to lose some ground there. Was Focus. Divine Wine is in the clear. Is going to be 4 wide. Is coming up the leaders. Carbon is dropped down to the inside for Jose Lezcano, who's going to save some ground. And Carbon's the gray on the move at the rail. Is now challenging for third. From the back, Banana Fanafo. Mostly Harmless trying to run on. They've got to catch Liberty Flame. 22 and 4 was that opening quarter mile. 47 seconds flat. And Liberty Flame keeps going. It's Liberty Flame in front. Carbon is now in full pursuit up on the outside, and here comes Carbon after Liberty Flame, who's finding more with a furlong left to go. Liberty Flame is still there. Carbon is chasing up on the outside, Mostly Harmless with a late rally as well. Liberty Flame is very game, just keeps on going. Liberty Flame wins the finale. Liberty Flame, Carbon, Banana Fanafo will grab third to the inside of Mostly Harmless in 1 minute 13 flat.
Liberty Flame able to hang on for the win here. Omar Hernandez Moreno for Patrick Quick.
Well, and we talked about it, and you were saying fresh and going there, and I like the fact that the rider who really rode well here, the others wanted the lead, but he said, I want the lead here. I'm not giving it up. I got the rail, and they were overmatched foes. You cannot give Carbon a better ride than Jose Lezcano gave her. Dropped over the rail in the turn, comes out, and there's a reason that this horse keeps losing at short prices. I mean, she couldn't have gotten a better trip here. And it's like she got to the 1 and just doesn't want to go by. Look at her. She just sort of runs in place. But a nice ride in the winner as well. And I don't know how it happened, but Jonathan and I picked a winner together that paid over $3. Jonathan, I don't know if Jonathan could do it, but this is really, this feels like an alternate universe. I even bet this horse. That's the more incredible.
I think we're going to see some changes at Saratoga this year.
No, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable with this. I bet Jonathan probably didn't even bet because he saw I liked the horse.
Liberty Flame at 7-2, 1-8-3-2 finish. Prices when we come back. And we'll have the story of Riley Mott trying to follow big steps in his legendary father's footsteps, having a great start early on in his career. We'll be back.
Campaign by 2, and Global Campaign will win the Grade 1 Woodward.
It is Global Campaign holding on to the lead. Global Campaign won the Peter Pan.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in Southern California as well. Card in the books here in South Ozone Park at Aqueduct. Liberty Flame. Aggressive early, and that pays off.
Yeah, nice to see a good ride by Omar Hernandez Moreno. And Pat Quick getting the win as well. Nice to see them teaming up for this win. This horse ran very well. It was a very good ride.
7-2 on your winner. Second win, 9 career starts. Bellamy Road filly for Thumps Racing Stable.
We were just talking about Bellamy Road yesterday. Suddenly he reappears.
It all comes full circle.
It really does. In life and in the race.
Feature is next in Hot Springs, Temperance Hill. And the return now, the 8-year-old Lone Rock, who at one time was the absolute best in this marathon dirt distance division. We'll have that coming up momentarily. Well, with the Hall of Fame pedigree, Riley Mott was ahead of the game before he even began his training career. But instead of being intimidated, trying to follow in the footsteps of his famous father, one of the game's all-time greats, he has embraced that challenge, eager to blaze his own path going forward.
Riley Mott is a trainer just like his father. Bill Mott was the youngest trainer inducted into the Hall of Fame at age 45 in 1998. Riley was just 7 years old. Following in the footsteps of a successful parent can be intimidating for some. Riley grew up feeling inspired at the thought of training horses like his dad.
Growing up and seeing his trophy cases at home and all the awards and accolades he's gotten, that was very cool to see at a young age. You know, when I was a young kid, I was pretty into ice hockey. Hockey was kind of my thing, and you know, I had really brief dreams of playing in the NHL, but it's always been horse racing. Essentially all I've ever wanted to do, and it's been pretty cool to start living out my dream.
He learned the ins and outs of his stable as a teenager before serving as his father's assistant for 9 years.
There's a lot of things, you know, you see and do every day, and I've grown up in the barn, and it's all I know. So as far as what I've learned, it's you know, how to run, you know, a top-class operation on the business side and on the equine side. But as far as, you know, since I've started working with the horses and in the operation, Royal Delta sticks out.
Here is a champion again! Royal Delta has won the Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic.
She was, you know, 2-time Breeders' Cup winner, multiple Eclipse Award winner, Hall of Famer. So to be around an animal like her, among others that I've been around, it's been, you know, a real blessing and a treat.
In the fall of 2022, at the age of 30, Riley felt it was time to go out on his own.
Growing up, he always just told me that, you know, the right opportunity would come. Not necessarily the first opportunity that came about, but I felt like at this point in my life, it was, you know, the right decision to make to break off on my own, and so far, so good.
He won his first race at Churchill Downs on November 10th, 2022.
As far as the day went, it was just like any other day. I was, you know, here in Arkansas at Oaklawn taking care of the barn.
And they're off.
You know, the filly had been with us all summer in New York, and we shipped her to Churchill and watched the race on my cell phone on my sofa.
Time runs out! Unifying's the winner, trained by Riley Mott, his first winner. As a trainer, congratulations to Riley.
He was actually the first person to call me, which was pretty cool. I think they hadn't even pulled up on the gallop out, and he was ringing me, and I think we were both holding back the tears a little bit over the phone. Pretty special moment. Like I said, I've been, you know, wanting and dreaming to do this my entire life, and it all feels very natural.
Everybody split out, come between. He make a run, but they win.
You hear so much of Dad in Riley, and see so much too. And he's off to a very good start early on in his career.
No, I think it's great to see those situations, see it with Norm Cassie, who's been doing well, work with his dad, and we wish Riley all the best.
Here's the one he trains in this feature coming up, Mystic Knight for Riley Mott.
Yeah, this is a horse that had once had a lot of potential for Chad Brown. He did improve a little bit in his last couple of starts, and Riley's going to see if he can improve with a lot of distance.
Full charge, Isaac Castillo from Mike Maker.
He doesn't really look good on paper, but it's the first time going long for Mike Maker, and if he can win at 1.5 miles with Therapist, then he can do anything.
Amazing to hear that happened. A horse who's really a 7-furlong horse, probably at his
Crazy.
best, right? Strong Tide, 9-2.
I think this horse is a massive overlay in this race. He can run well in these distance races. It should not be that big a price.
Warrant, he's sort of overtook Lone Rock summer of last year.
Good weekend for Flavien Prat as well at Oaklawn. He's supposed to go right to the front with this horse.
7-5 favorite for Brad Cox, Twin Creeks Racing Stable. Calibrate, big price, the biggest on the board at 20-1 next door.
Yeah, you know, when this horse first started, I think he was one of those potentially good horses for the Asmussen barn. Obviously never panned out. He's the long shot in here.
And the return, 8-year-old, back for the first time since summer of last year. It's Saratoga, a horse who was the dominant player in this division for all of 2021 and early on in 2022.
Well, I know Jonathan will be picking him. There's never been a Randy Hill horse that he doesn't love, right, Jonathan? But and listen, I actually do hope he comes back and runs well in here, but I would never bet him in this spot. I just don't trust him, but I kind of hope I'm wrong.
This race named after a great one, champion 3-year-old, who in his Belmont victory beat Genuine Risk and Codex, the Derby and Preakness winners, at 53-1.
I think that's Rock Hill native on the rail. You've got Genuine Risk between horses, and Richie will remember this, and that's him outside. I can remember being at Belmont for this race and saying, "Who's that?" 50-1 that day. I think Ed Anthony won for himself and his friends, like just boatloads of cash he had to bring back to Arkansas. No simulcasting then. And Temperance Hill won the Travers, I want to say. I think he won the Super Derby. I think he also won the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And I believe it rained for at least 3 of them. He loved a wet track.
Here's our favorite, Warrant, 7-5. Can this incredible Brad Cox weekend continue? Let's go to Paulie.
Yeah, Greg, I mean, it's been an unbelievable weekend for Brad Cox, and I think he's got the horse to beat in here with Warren. You look at this horse, in his last race was, you could just draw a line through it. He completely got destroyed at the gate. But when you look at his record, the horse is 12 for 14 in the exacta, and he's never missed the board going around 2 turns. So I'm in agreement with Andy. I think Flavien Prat goes to the front end and tries to control the pace. The horse on the board for me that's ridiculous is the one. I understand that Mystic Knight needs to improve. Horse that used to be in the Chad Brown barn. But the Riley Mott barn has been getting going here, and I think this horse wants this distance, a little bit more distance, and has some back numbers that this horse should not be. It's 19-1. Can the horse win this race? I don't know, but I think this horse can maybe get into the exacta. And then we're all rooting for the 6, Lone Rock, to get back to that form at 6-5. But, you know, Warren took care of him last year. We'll see if Lone Rock can turn it around. And I know, JK, you're hoping that happens.
Yeah, I am. And obviously I'm always rooting for Randy Hill, but I'm also rooting for Flying P. But I love this horse. And one of my second place finishes in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, I went all in on Lone Rock. So I've always had a little bit of a thing for Lone Rock. But I will say this. At 1.5 miles, as an older horse, I haven't seen many horses be as dominant as Lone Rock was for some time. Now, if you look back to his past performances, you'll start to think that he did tail off, and I think that's why they gave him such a long break. You look at his last race, he wasn't himself, so I forgive the dip from his normal performance. 2 back, I forgive the dip. 3 back and 4 back, it was a little bit more of what we expect from Lone Rock. And if you get a little deeper into his past performances, he's run races that no one in this group can stop. And the big question is he going to run back to his old form? And anytime I have a question about if a horse is in good form, I check in with my friend Maggie Wolfendale.
Hey, JK, what's up? Yeah, so Lone Rock, when I last saw him, which was back during the summertime, especially in Saratoga, he just looked, as we like to say, a little bit over the top. Like the well had been tapped just a little too much. He was just a little too light and drawn up, whereas now with this layoff in mind, dating back to the end of July, the weight's back on, the conditioning is back on, things you like to see. But with that in mind, and him being now an 8-year-old, you always wonder, do they just need a race to get over the proverbial hump, to get back in the flow of things, to truly get fit, especially fit enough to go the 1.5 miles? But as I've always talked about, why Lone Rock is so dominant in these marathon distances is his stride, is his mechanics. He takes such a long stride. It's almost as if the suspension of his stride is just that much longer and has that much more air time than other horses. So I like what I'm seeing from him. You know, Robertino Diodoro talked about his trainer in interviews that he just got clipped. So, and his coat's kind of in that in-between stage. That's okay with me. It doesn't really bother me with colts and geldings as much as it would a filly per se. There's an inkling in my mind that I wouldn't be shocked if he needs this race, but I'm surely not going to be shocked when he wins back-to-back Temperance Hills here. As we'll check in with another layoff runner in number 3, Strong Tide, who is an overachieving Indiana bred, that's for sure. Last time we saw him was even longer ago at Belmont in the Belmont Gold Cup, going 2 miles on the turf. I think this is a horse that likes to hear his feet rattle. He likes firm turf. He likes sealed racetracks. He's not getting that today. He looks absolutely sensational, though, coming back off the layoff. He looks fit. He looks strong. His coat is about as bright and shiny and healthy as you could ask a horse to be. Like I said, I don't think this is necessarily his surface, but he's very well turned out to return to the races today. And let's talk about Warrant, who is the recent horse and maybe the one that you want. If you're going to find Lone Rock vulnerable, it might be today, and you might be able to do it with Warrant, who just looks the picture of health in here. And I couldn't really come up with that much of an excuse for a poor performance going back to the Santa Anita Handicap, but certainly Hopper, the 4th place finisher, flattered him yesterday when coming back, earning a 95 in the Oaklawn Mile. He probably just went a little too fast with those California horses on the front end, and he's on his toes. And as Andy said, Greg, he looks to be one that's leading them this entire mile-and-a-half distance of this Temperance Hill. It's a short field, but it's an exciting one.
Certainly is, and especially with that star power Lone Rock back, who's been so important to Robertino Diodoro, taking them to some big places, big races across the country. And he has said, Robertino Diodoro, look, he seemed tired, and that's why he put him on the bench. Says he's come back bigger and better than ever, and they've been galloping him long distances to get him ready for this.
I was going to say, I can't believe he's growing at 8, but then again, I'm growing at 60. It's the wrong way. I talked to Jay Provenzano, who owns him, who I think he means a lot to him as well. He mentioned with Tino, and he said after the Birdstone, we were talking about it in Saratoga, and he said he's just kind of going the wrong way. Time to give him some time off, and hopefully we can get him back next year and get him back on track. And, you know, you do the right thing by your horses. You certainly, you don't always get rewarded for it, because sometimes they're getting older and they just can't do it anymore. It's not, but you have a chance to get rewarded if you do the right thing. You have no chance if you do the wrong thing. And I credit these guys for putting him on the shelf. He could have run a lot of races that he would have been a short price in, and maybe he would have picked up checks in them. But they wanted the right thing by the horse, a horse that's been very good to them as well, and you have to appreciate that.
$1.4 million in earnings.
A Majestic Warrior. I believe Majestic Warrior was the upset winner of the Hopeful over Maimonides. And a horse that I want to say they paid an enormous amount for him to be a stallion. And he just, Verville Mott, he never went on and did anything after that. But he's the sire of a long-distance horse, like Lone Rock. It's a very cool horse.
He's the slight second choice.
The layoff, I mean, 16 for 42. Won almost 40% of his races. And when he runs, he wins.
His running style, usually,
he'll be right there.
Right there, if not on the lead. But you got to think, too, coming in fresh, that's probably going to be where the tactics are today.
That Brooklyn in 2021 won by 11 lengths.
That was his coming out party.
He looked like somebody shot him out of a cannon in the stretch, didn't he? And then what's his essential quality? Hot Rod Charlie went 2 full seconds faster in the Belmont. That was some performance by him, though. Wow, was he good that day.
Yeah, that was that statement victory, and he just went on to dominate all year long. There he is, stepping into the gate, the feature of the Temperance Hill. Let's go to Jim Byers.
They're off on their mile-and-a-half journey in the Temperance Hill, and Warrant wants to set that pace, and Warrant goes right to the lead. There goes Lone Rock, and the veterans long-distance runner moves up into a more prominent second. Strong Tide third. Calibrate gets out in fourth. Full Charge is fifth. And Mystic Knight will settle at the back end of the field as they come around to the top of the stretch for the first time. Flavian Pratt and Warrant have the lead here by a half length And up on the outside, Lone Rock and Ramon Vasquez are next and second. And then it's a little bit of a gap, 2 lengths or so. And Calibrate is racing 3 deep through the stretch the first time. Back to the inside, Strong Tide is running in 4th. And Full Charge is alongside him. Mystic Knight remains the trailer. They have 1 lap to the finish. And Warrant and Lone Rock, the top 2 wagering choices. And they are going neck and neck, if you will, into that clubhouse turn. Their second of 3 turns, Warrant with the advantage here, and they're getting into a good rhythm up front. Warren leads at a 1/2 to 3/4 of a length. Lone Rock is second by a good 3.5. Calibrate remains chasing them from 3rd. Strong Tide is getting a ground-saving trip from Santana on the inside and racing in 4th. And Full Charge is outside of him. Mystic Knight remains the trailer as they advance up the backstretch here in the Temperance Hill. A short lead for Warrant, and Lone Rock is just outside of him. Warrant still leads it by a neck. And Strong Tide and Lone Rock, rather, to the outside is next and second, and then Strong Tide on the inside. And Calibrate race as a team, and they are 2 lengths off the lead. And then the back 2, Mystic Knight's out of the trailer spot. Full Charge is trailing the field. Warrant leads Lone Rock. It's only a head advantage now, and they come to the top of the short stretch, and they are quickening up front. And Lone Rock and Warrant, they've been close throughout. Warrant was setting the pace, and Lone Rock is right to his outside, and Calibrate sits outside as they straighten away for the short stretch run. And from between horses, Lone Rock, and here is Calibrate up on the outside, and Calibrate is going to get there in the marathon. Calibrate is going to win the Temperance Hill and win it going away from Lone Rock and Warrant, and then came Strong Tide 4th.
Calibrate at 30-1, overtaking Lone Rock in the late stages here at a huge price. Cody Rosen, Francisco Arrieta.
I had texted Paulie, because Paulie's interested in the 1, and I said, how is the 1 and 1 and 5 the same price? The 1 is so much more likely to win this race than the 5. I guess not. I guess all this horse needed was a little bit more distance, and Calibrate, horse who had never run close to this distance, a distorted humor, off a win at Will Rogers Downs, was 53-1 at Oaklawn, 2 races back. This is an improbable winner. But you know what? Distance is the great equalizer, right? Lone Rock went well here, by the way.
He really did.
No, I can't
and he
knock
didn't
him.
break good at all?
Nope, he ran fine. He ran his race. This horse just loved the distance. And I think maybe we'll see Calibrate in the Brooklyn now, because he's a completely different horse going along.
This is a horse who won his debut. He's a favorite at Saratoga when he was with Steve Asmus, and then he had to face Essential Quality in his next 2 starts.
I said to you, I beat a Chad Brown horse that day. I don't remember who was second in his debut, but he beat a Chad Brown horse up in Saratoga, and I remember they really liked him, and he just went on and did nothing. Well, maybe he needed more distance all along. The race he ran against Essential Quality was the Belmont, apparently. Who knew?
Might have turned the tables. I don't know. That was a pretty good effort from Essential Quality that day.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have beat him.
Still, you got to be encouraged from Lone Rock. First start back since July of last year. Didn't break good out of the gate, although it's starting to become a bit of an issue for him. That happened in Brooklyn to him a couple starts back as well.
I agree. I mean, listen, it was an encouraging effort by him. There's no question about it. And, you know, if the 5 wasn't in the race, you said, well, he's back and he looks good. So encouraging effort, and it's a good start for him. But I think there's a new player in the game in these route races in Calibrate, because he is a completely different horse going along than he is in those mile and 16th races. Bizarre.
30-1 shocker in the Temperance Hill, and a horse who shocked everybody in the Belmont at 53-1.
Yeah. He maybe he'll go on and do some good things like Temperance Hill did. Joe Canty.
Cody Rosen found the right race for him, and maybe this is what he's wanted to do all along. Let's go to Maggie.
The $50,000 claim way back when, Cody, has paid off, pulling off a huge upset in this Temperance Hill.
Yeah, shocked, really. Really all the credit goes to the owner, Josh Engel. We were just trying the 1.5 mile distance, and we were, if he liked it, they either like it or they don't. And looks like he likes it.
Well, Cody, with the pedigree he has, Distorted Humor, I'm very close with a son of Distorted Humor that likes these marathon distances, and Dynaformer on the bottom. Tell me you weren't a little bit confident.
I would be lying to you if I told you I was confident. But he ever since we've claimed him, his record speaks for himself. He tries every time, just speechless. Really special.
It was quite a performance. Huge gallop out as well. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're not wiping that smile off Cody's face anytime soon as Calibrate. Big winner here in the Temperance Hill, guys.
I'm a fan of Cody Rosen. You know, he didn't take the bait. He didn't pretend to Maggie that he thought the horse had any chance. He admitted he was shocked. I'm a fan of this guy. The last honest man.
30-1 Calibrate, first time ever going this mile-and-a-half distance, and encouraging signs as well from the former horse who used to dominate this division. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Have a little rematch. We're going to take a timeout. 30-1 shocker in the feature.
Charlatan now a quarter mile from Arkansas Derby Glory, and he leads by 4 lengths. Basin continues to run in second. Governor Morris is third. Then to the outside in Anno Door, final furlong. Left-handed whips for Charlatan. And Charlatan is going to run them off their feet and win the Arkansas Derby. We will see you in September, young man.
Wins by 6.5. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
These are the trainers and teachers, the cooks, carpenters, and clockers, grooms and gardeners. These are the hard-working people who show up every day to keep horse racing running across the state. Good-paying jobs that support New York families, along with the thousands of local businesses that depend on Belmont Park. Modernizing Belmont Park would generate $1 billion in economic activity and protect and create thousands of jobs. Albany, create New York jobs. Modernize Belmont Park.
Introducing Giftbox, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragozin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Giftbox, only at Lane's End.
We're back at America's Day of the Races and our FS2 coverage. Feature in the books at Oaklawn. The nightcap still to come. Our program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. 30-1 shocker with Calibrate taking the Temperance Hill. And then this happened right after the win. Calibrate full of himself and tosses Francisco Arrieta.
And then he got back on. I mean, he's ready to run again. Glad everybody's okay.
And Francisco hopped right back up himself.
Oh, God. Insane. The only guy crazy enough to get it back on would be the MiG.
Here's the winning move from Calibrate. First time ever going this far of a distance. I think he likes it.
I tell you what, he didn't get lucky to win this race. He was wide the whole way around the track. He just stalked these horses and ran them down. I mean, this wasn't a horse that just got lucky to win the race. He ran. And they've got a distance horse in their hands. And I got to think they'll be looking to come to Belmont for the Brooklyn. Why wouldn't you?
Beating the graded stakes winner, multiple graded stakes place Warrant, who a horse with ability. Obviously, Lone Rock, who was the undisputed leader of this division for a while. Wet Paint had something to prove on Saturday. Could she translate that wet track form to a dry surface in her first try? Yes, she can. She did. We'll take a look back next.
Cap Catholic Boy, a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, including this romp in the Run Happy Travers Stakes.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer!
This 6-time graded stakes winner was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. At the sales, his first crop yearling sold up to $300,000. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Not just a big Derby prep on Saturday in Hot Springs, big one on the road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies as well. And for Wet Paint, she had questions to answer about could she repeat what she'd done on wet tracks on a dry, fast surface. She certainly did.
I joked with you before, as maybe she doesn't love a wet track. Maybe she'll be better on dry track. She was. Maybe she's just getting better as well. And one thing she made very clear, she is way better than the 3-year-old fillies down at Oaklawn Park. This was just a dominant victory in here. She got an 89 buyer, so she's progressing forward, moving in the right way, and she has potential to be the favorite in the Kentucky Oaks. There's still a long way to go. She has a stablemate named Punchbowl who's going to be running in the Ashland this coming weekend at Keeneland against Wonder Wheel. I assume against Julia Shining as well. There are other horses out there, but right now she's right up there with any of them.
4 for 4 on dirt. Again, 3 of those on wet tracks. But she had just simply dominated the competition in Hot Springs.
Yeah, she's too good for those horses.
Brad Cox, Godolphin, Flavian Pratt.
It's good to see Godolphin get the win. They've been struggling. They're a tough decade for them.
Road to the Oaks through Hot Springs, and it was all this filly.
Yeah. She's just better than these horses. She's an impressive closing kick.
And it is on to Louisville for that first Friday in May. Let's get Maggie and Paul's thoughts.
Yeah, Brad Cox looking for his 3rd win in the Kentucky Oaks in just 6 years, as he looks pretty loaded, Paulie, for this edition coming up that first Friday in May.
Yeah, Punchbowl and Wet Paint. Wet Paint was, I thought, tremendous history. Anytime, when you watch horse races, anytime you can just completely just circle a field with no problem, you're just much the best.
I have a question for you. Do you think at any point that her late kick, because, she dropped out way last heading into the first turn, does that ever get her in trouble when we head to Churchill?
I think it might. That race yesterday was to the first wire, which I don't really like. I wish they would run it to the second wire, because now you're going to get the complete long stretch at Churchill Downs. I don't know. You obviously got a good rider on the back of her in Flavian Pratt, and I'm sure he knows exactly what's going to happen. But, it's going to be very interesting how the Oaks is going to get played, because earlier in the year it was all about Pretty Mischievous. It was all about Hoosier Philly that kind of fell to the wayside, and now these Phillies are starting growing up. The other Norm Cassie Philly, who is really, really good, Effortlessly Elegant, is really, really good. And
You
now
said that effortlessly.
Yeah,
well
thank
done,
you.
my man.
And then, Wet Paint's probably going to be your favorite right now when it goes there. But, it's crazy how the pitcher has changed.
Yeah, it does, especially with these Phillies. They just changed so much, Greg. And I even noticed such a difference with Wet Paint physically from going back to the Honeybee to the Fantasy yesterday, and that she had blossomed. She'd put on weight and conditioning, and just her mentality is just becoming much more of a racehorse.
And too importantly, takes a move forward, a big step forward from a figure standpoint also.
Yeah, and it's important that she does that, because I think we probably will see some good performances in this coming weekend, whether it's in the Ashland, whether it's the Gazelle, California as well. So we'll see how it shakes out. But right now, she probably is the leader of that group right now. As long as Money's Gold can't go long.
Money's Gold. What'd you say the buyer figure was?
106.
Oof, incredible.
Remember, the second biggest figure on the dirt run by anyone in that crop, besides Money Gold, actually the second best fig as well, is the Maiden Breaker randomized here on Friday.
Wow. Wide open division. It's going to be fun that first Friday in May, but more to sort out next weekend. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Finale still coming up. Of course, our big final Derby prep here in New York. Wood Memorial live coverage. Big Fox next Saturday, and Brad Cox with another contender, the likely favorite in the hit show, part of a duo of runners he'll send out.
The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
The Kentucky Derby Bankroll Builder is back at NYRA Bets. Bet a $50 win bet on a selected Derby prep and get $20 for your Derby Bankroll, win or lose. Opt in each week to play at NYRABets.com.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Mo Donegal comes on through down on the inside to grab second. It is early voting in front. A challenge here from Mo Donegal. Early voting trying to hold on with the 16th to the finish. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal.
Last year's edition, Wood Memorial. These two would go on to make a little noise in the Triple Crown.
Yeah, ended up winning the second and third legs of the Triple Crown. Sorry we never saw Mo Donegal again, but after the Belmont Stakes, but it was an exciting moment and a thrilling race. More thrilling for some than others, but but this was really quite a matchup, and they were really nice horses.
That was a great throwdown between these two. Yeah, Mo Donegal, of course, win the Belmont, early voting to Preakness. So it was a very key race in terms of the Triple Crown, and it could be again this year.
We shall see.
Live coverage again next Saturday. Big Fox will have it for you. Final stop on the road to the Derby here in New York. And Brad Cox will send out two in here Slip Mahoney and the likely favorite in Hit Show, who has done very little wrong in his brief career to this point. 3 for 4 coming in, including a win already at 1 1/8 in the Withers.
And Arctic Arrogance is a very good horse, and Hit Show just thrashed him in this race. I mean, this was back in February, and I want to say he got a 92 buyer winning this. Put that in perspective, the races yesterday, Angel Empire, 91, thank you, Greg, got a 94 and a 95 for Forte in the Florida Derby. This was back in February. This horse could prove, and he's got to win Saturday. I mean, he's got to run a good race at least on Saturday. But he could prove another major player for Brad Cox, who, hard as it is to believe, still has a major 3-year-old filly in his quiver, and he's got this horse as well for the big races in Kentucky. So he's not done getting ready for Derby weekend.
Now, he holds an incredibly strong hand for both the Oaks and the Derby, and this horse only defeat in his career came against Confidence Game, who of course would win a big Derby prep as well, but trying to win 3 in a row next Saturday and go into the Kentucky Derby the right way.
So who are the other major players in there? I guess probably really Arctic Arrogance is the other major player. A lot
3 consecutive runner-up finishes, though, when certainly
Yeah.
a couple of them look like where he's going to go right on by and just did not do it. Shadow Dragon, this is New York bred for Bill Mott, who faced Forte in the Fountain of Youth last time out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Shadow Dragon fan. This is not the Fountain of Youth. This is him running second, the Holy Bull, behind his stablemate, who finished second in the Fountain of Youth and came back and did not run particularly well in the Arkansas Derby. He's a New York bred. The Albany in Saratoga will be calling his name late in the Saratoga meet.
We'll see. There's been some, not that long ago, Bourbonic.
Yeah. Yes.
What price was he?
Well, I mean, if Hit Show doesn't run his race in Arctic Arrogance race is wide open. But listen, I haven't seen the PPs, but I think there are the 2 horses to beat. We'll see.
Live coverage again next Saturday. We'll have it for you. Big Fox final stop on the road to the Kentucky Derby here through New York. We hope you join us. It's going to be a good one. See who will punch their ticket to the starting gate that first Saturday in May. Things will become a lot clearer after next Saturday. And what seems like just an incredibly wide open year in this 3-year-old division.
I totally agree with you. Some more answers next weekend, but will they be the right answers?
Nightcap at Oaklawn.
You've been talking to me about this race for days, Greg. You can't wait for this race.
There's a few ways to go. A decent betting race coming up to close it out. Mile 16.
I got 12 ways to go.
State bred 40 maiden claimer, and here's one of the ways to go. Maybe Mad Mardigan.
Yeah, you got a number of stretch outs, I think, in this race, and he's one of them. You have to imagine it'll be a speed from the inside.
2 sprints in the stretch out. Favorite angle of many. Wicked Prince.
Another stretch out. Another horse who could be forward. Ran all right 2 back.
Imperial Shadow did stretch out last time. That did not work out, but that was against Open Maiden Special.
Yeah, I agree. That is important to say. Dropping back with the Archie Breds.
28-1 here, 4 dice.
Another stretch out. This one has shown nothing.
Sir Peel has had 5-6 starts, all sprinting.
Yet another stretch out. You seem to see this a lot. Trainer not good, Ron McQuett, with stretch outs.
Jim Ned stretched out for the first time last start, was a little washy. Did hit the board, ran 3rd.
Ran well enough, I guess, last time to maybe have a slight chance.
Seeking Chrome at 19-1, start number 3.
This looks too slow, Greg.
Blinkers go on today. Yeah, big price here. Probably the one to beat. The board has it that way. Father-son team, Steve Asmussen with Keith.
Improved off the claim for Steve, and I think that's the main reason people were looking at. On the other hand, was a wet track, but just a little bit of moisture. Not sealed.
Been all sprinting for this one so far in 4 starts, ready shoes.
Yeah, this horse has a good figure in the second race against Opens. The race against Archie Breds have been a disaster.
Cybertown, Walter De La Cruz.
Figure last time was good enough to be competitive here. A big improvement. Lost to a speed. Pace held together.
Open Maiden 20 race. Naderade at 8-1.
This horse faces Archie Breds for the first time off the claim for Tom Van Berg.
And second-time starter, Willie Wynn, who was 21-1 first time out.
Yeah, he's taking a little money today. It's a tough post to overcome. but only ran once. Another stretch out.
2 minutes to post here in the finale. It's been a tremendous weekend of action. Of course, Maggie, Paul doing a great job covering it for us. Your impressions of the weekend, you two?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I am not the rainmaker, and I actually experienced some nice weather here at Oaklawn. It was nice to have their biggest day of the meet, Paulie, and the sun was shining. But for you, who really stood out on the racetrack?
You know, you could say there's a lot of different. There were so many great performers. I just think Wet Paint I think she just proved herself. A lot of people thought, okay, she's only a horse that really likes slop. She's the kind of horse that we really don't know. A lot of people were kind of against her, and I was a little bit too, and she was struggling a little bit in the back, but wow, she circled that field. I know she was 320. She was the lowest of all of them when it came to the prices, but I just thought she was really, really impressive.
Yeah, she was. I think it was not necessarily a coming out party, because obviously she had won several times before that, but just a race that really said, yeah, I'm a serious contender in the Kentucky Oaks. And while I was pleased to see all the winners of the stakes races, I thought the fastest and maybe the most eye-catching performance came from Dan Blacker's trainee, Straight No Chaser, who shipped in here to Oaklawn Park. I was talking to Dan. He said the race didn't go for him out at Santa Anita. He said there was one here a couple days later, put the horse on the plane, got him here, and he exploded. I love the fact that he easily got to the lead, Paul. You can't deny the California speed, but he put some real separation between him and the field.
He did. I'm going to go on a limb and say he is the fastest horse, I would think, in North America in the first quarter mile. He absolutely is a bullet out of the gate for Dan Blacker. And he ran into Hopkins. He ran into some Bob Baffert runners. Then he came out here and ran into an Arkansas bred, and that's what happened. So he's just really, really fast. And he's the kind of horse that Dan almost has to taper down, because that horse can go almost sub 21. He's that fast early. It's crazy.
He's crazy fast, earning a 101 buyer for that effort. You would have to think maybe stepping back in to stakes is in his immediate future. But our immediate future, we got an Arkansas bred maiden 40 here on the track to close things out. Paul, let's talk about a horse taking some money down on the rail, going out with Christian Torres aboard and stretching out in his third career start, Mad Mardigan. I like the look of this horse, at least physically, getting the distance. I think it's well within his wheelhouse looking at him at least.
Ernie Witt's a very, very cagey trainer. He's using Christian Torres. I like the first time the horse got left out of the gate and then, you know, passed some horses, got an education. Then next time showed a little bit more speed. Now draws the one hole, 2 sprints to a route. It's usually very, very elementary. That's what you want to really do. And that's why this horse is 3-1, because Ernie's very, very sharp on the stretch out.
Now, making his second start for the Ron Moquette barn is number 5, Sir Peel, also a first-time stretch out. But, you know, he's been in maiden claimers, but this is his first maiden claimer against Arkansas bred. And physically, I mean, look, it comes with the territory when you're talking about Ron Moquette horses, kind of like Steve Asmussen or D. Wayne Lucas horses. They all look the part. They all look sensational. He definitely was a standout in this field, and I don't think the distance is going to be too much of a question mark.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was standing right next to Chance Moquette because we were talking about the best pump fist ever for King Russell yesterday, and he said, listen, I love my horse on the stretch out. And he was talking about Sir Peel. He thinks the horse is going to have no issues stretching out. He says the horse got to get out of the gate. We've had issues with him out of the gate the last 2 times when Chelsea Moisey had the horse. Now they had him for the 1 start, and he did not break. But they think that he's going to be able to get the distance. You're getting 7-1.
And 2, sometimes a little more distance mitigates that slow break. As number 8, Storm Strategy, he has experience going longer. I thought last time kind of pulled a wide trip throughout, and he cruised into the race like he was going to win it, and then he just idled a bit in the stretch.
It was kind of funky because when you watch the race, it was almost like, was Keith waiting a little too long, or could he have pressed the button a little sooner? And then he sort of just got out-finished. And I remember his father after the race was telling him, hey, you know, make the adjustment, and when you got the horse, go. And, you know, he probably could have won last time. A little bit tougher field this time, I think. And at 7-2, I don't know. I mean, when I look at the race between him and the 10, I don't see much difference from 7-2 to 11-1.
Yeah, and getting completely overlooked is number 10, Cybertown, in here. Faced Open Company last time, earned a, arguably decent figure
buyer,
relative to this field. Why is he such a big price?
I don't get it. I mean, Walter De La Cruz, very, very good. And I understand that this horse has ran on the mud the last 2 times, but I'm more worried about that this horse got 2 turns. And, he was able to get to 2 turns. So maybe on the fast track, he'll be a little bit better. But this horse should nowhere be 12-1. Should be around 5-6-1.
Cybertown, JK, he is double-digit odds. I bet you were surprised to see that.
I was. I thought the inside horse was a little bit interesting, on the stretch out, having some speed from the inside. Shortest way around there is the rail. But, like Paulie just pointed out, the 10 Cybertown has kind of proven that the distance isn't going to be the problem, and maybe the fast track does move this horse up. We talk about it all the time, and at least I do, when it comes to these kind of forwardly placed horses. I think being outside is an advantage. You get to you're not getting dictated to. You get to kind of see what's happening inside of you. You don't have to worry about horses leaning on you and laying all over you and that pressure. You're just kind of out in the clear, and you get to make your own decisions. And so Cybertown, to me, should work out a nice trip. And at 9-1, feels like a very nice horse to use in trifectas. Do I think that Cybertown has to win? No. But at 9-1, I think it's a good proposition. Do I think that Cybertown is very likely to be in the trifecta? I do. I like the draw for this horse. I like the fact this horse has some tactical speed, and I like the fact that he's already sort of passed the 2-turn test.
We have a late scratch here, the 9, as you see on your screen coming out. We saw Ricardo Santana Jr. Walking around on the track, so take out Ready Shoes.
That's it, I'm leaving. I've been waiting all week to bet Ready Shoes, Greg. You told me. That's it. There's more I can take. Can we throw it back to Maggie and Paul? They were having so much fun.
They're
they've
incredible this weekend.
They've been a great team. They were a great team when Maggie was there last time. Maybe anybody with Paulie's a great team,
Your horse racing's dynamic duo, you two.
Are you staying, Maggie? Are you staying in Arkansas? You guys are having so much fun.
Wait a second.
Well, see, I kind of messed up here, and I brought my husband with me, so I have to go home this time around. But Paul's been an awesome third wheel with us.
Yeah, that's true. Here's what I'm upset about. We took Tom out for his birthday last night, and the lady said we were supposed to get a cheesecake that was supposed to say "Happy Birthday, Tom." Never got it. Still haven't gotten it. And Tom's over here just begging for the cheesecake, and I can't even give it to him.
I'm getting him a pizza from DeLucas tonight, though, so hopefully I make up for it.
Okay.
That's a great birthday
I'm hoping
present.
Maggie brings the cheesecake back for me, actually. Forget about Tom.
That's the spot in Hot Springs if you want good pizza.
It is good pizza.
Yeah, happy belated birthday to Tom. Great job by those two all weekend long, though. Nightcap coming up. Jim Byers, the call from Hot Springs.
Naderade is in. Willie Wynn moves in on the outside. 11 of them all in line. And they're off. Came out in a perfect line. Several of them moving out quickly early. Wicked Prince, one off the rail. Seeking Chrome is demonstrating speed. Sir Peel, Imperial Shadow, 4 Dice. Mad Mardigan tucks right in behind the leader on the inside in the black. And he needs a way to go. And Mad Mardigan just had to steady pretty hard there into that first turn. Back to the front end. As they sort themselves out, Wicked Prince is going to lead at 3 parts of a length to 4 Dice and Seeking Chrome. Mad Mardigan is 4th. Imperial Shadow and the white blinkers outside of him 5th. 2.5 to Sir Peel. Then comes Cybertown. He's starting to range up from the back. He's going to mid-pack from the outside in the red blinkers. 2 lengths to the good of Storm Strategy, who's saving ground into the far turn. He's 3 to the good of Naderade and Willie Wynn. And Jim Ned is way back there trailing as they pass the half-mile pole. It's Wicked Prince and Elvin Gonzalez with the lead by a length. 4 Dice now second. Seeking Chrome is third. Cybertown has matriculated up to 4th from the outside. Back to the inside, Mad Mardigan is 6 lengths off the lead. Outside of him is Imperial Shadow, then Sir Peel. Storm Strategy starting to show some interest, and he is getting bounced around there in about that third flight as they straighten away. Wicked Prince has had a clean trip. He leads the way, but Cybertown is moving right alongside him. Imperial Shadow has improved. Storm Strategy is inside of him. It's Cybertown head-and-head here with Wicked Prince through the final 16th. Cybertown the outside. Wicked Prince to the inside, shoulder to shoulder. Those two to the wire. Cybertown by a head over Wicked Prince. And then 4 back to Storm Strategy and Imperial Shadow.
How about that little exclamation point on the weekend? Maggie, Paul, even JK all talking about Cybertown. Delivers with a victory here at a price to close out this Sunday card.
What a way to end the weekend. Nice job by everybody coming up with this horse. Yeah, excellent job.
Getting by that, too, who was stubborn there on the front end. Walter De La Cruz, William Martin. We are back Thursday. We'll see at 1 Eastern start time on our FS2 coverage. So we hope you join us then. It was Falconet springing a mild upset while beating an odds-on favorite in the top flight. 2 stakes wins, last 3 starts for Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher. Jose Lezcano in that irons for the victory. How about after nearly 6 decades at Naira, racing official Sonny Taylor calling it a career. Sad to see him go. And the Temperance Hill Calibrate 30-1 upset over Lone Rock.